So you survived the U.S. Army's basic training program. Now what? After basic, it's time for advanced training, where Army soldiers learn skills that prepare them for specific types of combat operations. From moving through treacherous jungle terrain, to looking through the scope of a sniper rifle, to cooking meals for hundreds of hungry soldiers, and learning to save their lives. These soldiers' journeys begin over 1,000 feet in the air, where they train to become paratroopers, ready to jump into combat zones. When this airborne student collided with a Humvee parked in the drop zone, our camera crew feared she was seriously injured, if not worse.
Damn.
Hey, sir, what are you doing?
Me?
Yeah.
Filming?
You can't. No.
An instructor ordered us to stop recording while the medics tended to her. A few minutes later, she was back on her feet and walking without assistance. When we caught up to her, she was all smiles, getting ready for her next jump.
The medic checked me out. I didn't pull anything. I didn't tear anything. I didn't break anything. I was very grateful and also very conscious of the fact that I didn't hear a pop.
That may be due to the fact that Davis listened to this instructor's advice right before she crashed.
Keep your feet together.
Keeping the feet and knees together is an essential component of executing a safe landing after a jump.
Feet and knees together.
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 Keep your feet and knees together.
Feet and knees together.
It's a phrase heard ad nauseum at Airborne School, a 3-week course where the Army trains students to become paratroopers.
Throwing yourself out of an aircraft is not a natural thing, especially at an altitude of 1,250 feet. It is a feeling like nothing you have ever felt before.
Insider spent 5 days at Airborne School, where we observed different classes in the 3 phases of training.
Ground week is pretty much an introduction. When they land on the ground, what procedures they need to take, and it's just building that confidence and their equipment. Tower week is the second week, overcoming your fears of jumping. Jump week is the culminating event, you jumping out of the aircraft. You successfully make 5 jumps and you graduate Airborne School. Overall objective is to provide a capability to put a battalion-sized plus element in a location within 72 hours.
On day 1, students have to pass 2 physical assessments.
First group, get ready.
First,
Up.
the flex arm hang,
Uncross your feet.
where students must perform a pull-up and remain in place for 10 seconds.
Up.
This exercise requires the same technique and amount of upper body strength to perform what's known as a slip, where a paratrooper grabs handles on the harness called risers and pulls down to adjust the parachute's direction.
To really pull good slip, you're pulling, I think, 60% of your body weight.
If you cannot hook up to the anchor line cable, you are a reach assessment failure. Do you understand?
The second physical test assesses a student's ability to reach the cable they must connect to before jumping.
Extend your arms straight up. Straighten your fingers.
Being a smaller human, I was definitely nervous about that. But when I got there, I stretched my arm out as high as I could and realized, all right, I qualify. And that was a good feeling because I was a little bit nervous.
While most pass with ease, for some students, a failed reach assessment brings an end to their training before it officially begins. About 15,000 students enroll in Airborne School each year, and roughly 13,000 graduate. About 10% of students are female.
I'm 17, and so I joined right out of high school. My friends now, they're just graduating. They're just going to college. That's the new things that they're starting. And the things I wanted to start right out of high school is, saving people's lives and jumping out of planes.
The Army wants still more volunteers from its ranks for parachute duty.
Since 1940, paratroopers have been trained at the Fort Benning Army installation, which straddles the Alabama-Georgia border about 100 miles southwest of Atlanta.
Stand by for the jump light. That's it. 4 more trips like this one, and the fledgling paratrooper gets his wings. His pay will be $50 a month more than regular soldiers of his rank.
Today, paratroopers still get extra pay. Students who graduate from Airborne school get $150 per month added to their paycheck. Classified as hazardous duty incentive pay.
Are you gonna grab one parachute and one reserve?
Students use mock parachutes to learn how to safely don and rig them before a jump,
Airborne, walk all the way to the end.
marking the beginning of Ground Week.
Slap, step, kick, count.
The ground week phase gives you confidence in your competency.
If you're on the left door, your static line is in the left hand.
You don't have to be the strongest or the smartest.
Free cover.
If you can remember to do very specific things at very specific times, you'll be fine.
These are your equipment rings. Below that, you have your saddle.
We teach them how to properly put on what's called a harness. Teach them how to rig it, the different components of the harness.
Airborne, once you're finished and you're ready for inspection, come to me.
After donning and rigging the harness, an instructor inspects the student's work.
Hold, squat, turn, bend, recover, recover, recover.
Sergeant, what's up with the little glove tap?
So that's basically called the seal of approval. Cover. Basically, they have what's called 5 points of contact: the balls of the feet, the calf, the thigh, the buttocks, and the pull-up muscle. Recover. The 4th point of contact is the easier accessible part of the body that doesn't have anything to interfere as far as the harness itself. Recover. That 4th point of contact is that seal of approval that your equipment is good, I've checked it, and you're good to go.
Green light. Oh, step, kick, count.
Then they'll move to what's called the mock doors. So the mock doors is where they'll learn how to properly do individual exits from the aircraft.
Kick, count.
Which is basically keeping those elbows tight, feet and knees together, knees slightly bent, and so on and so forth.
Green light, go.
The mock door prepares students for what it's like to jump, but not to land. Paratroopers land at speeds of about 13 miles per hour with a force comparable to jumping from a 9 to 12 foot wall, which is why they practice the parachute landing fall, or PLF, from a height of roughly 3 feet to develop a safe technique for landing.
Essentially, it is a choreographed movement of them creating a banana shape or a rocking chair shape. They do a small bunny hop off the wall. They hit the ground. They tuck their chin down in their chest, put their elbows high in front of their face. I like to concentrate on keeping their feet together so that there's more surface area for the impact of jumping out of the aircraft to absorb into, so that they can roll, getting them to bleed off the momentum so that they do not get injured.
It hurt. It was annoying falling over and over and over until you get it right. And even then, you have to fall more and more.
Land.
This is my life that's on the line, so I appreciate that stuff.
After PLFs, they move to the lateral drift apparatus, a zip line they slide across until they're ordered to let go and land.
It simulates the lateral drift that will happen in the air due to wind. So then they'll have more momentum to actually complete the parachute landing fall and kick it up and over.
Students use the suspended harness to practice pulling a slip.
So you would pull a slip in the direction that you want to go. So if you want to go to your front, to your left, you're going to pull a front left slip, as it would be all the way around all 4 risers.
The T-11 parachute is not technically steerable, but executing a slip is the only option for avoiding a collision.
Whether it's avoiding trees, other jumpers, they do work, and that's why we teach them here.
Doing it constantly, knowing which way to slip. So in the air, I'm confident which direction I'm going to go.
Everything taught during Ground Week is taken to a new height the following week.
Tower week, you're 34 feet off the ground. What are you gonna do? You know, nobody knows how they're gonna react when they're staring that door in the face. And I think everyone had that gut check, if you will, when they were up there. But once you send it, once you're jumping off, you're good.
Go. The height of the tower is typically where a lot of people are going to show the panic and the fear of heights, and the tower is used to help them control that fear.
When you get up in that tower, everybody's excited. You walking up the stairs just like anybody else, but then now reality sets in when I'm standing up here 34 foot in the air, and now you asking me to jump out.
You're like, ooh. 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000.
They're going to kick out, creating the explosive power required for them to exit the aircraft, getting a good up 6, out 36-inch exit far away from the aircraft.
1,000, 2,000.
As soon as their foot leaves the platform, they begin to count to 6,000.
1,000, 2,000, 3,000.
At the end of your 6,000 count, your main canopy will have fully deployed and has begun its inflation process and begun its descent to the ground.
You did everything right.
Students are observed and evaluated by instructors who critique them until they have developed an exit worthy of a live jump.
All right, do it again.
I actually jumped the mock tower 22 times just because I just had to perfect it and get it right. You got to kick out a certain amount to get far enough away, and that was probably the thing I struggled with the most.
The final exercise during Tower Week is the improved swing landing trainer, an opportunity to practice a parachute landing fall in a more realistic way.
It simulates the oscillation and downward movement that you would experience on a normal parachute jump. They will swing until they get into a good parachute landing fall position. In a true parachute landing fall, you are not looking at the ground, so you don't know when you're gonna hit. We don't tell them, I'm dropping you now. We just say, hold what you got, prepare to land. That way they know the ground will be coming soon, they just won't know when.
The instructor pulls a cable that causes the student to fall.
This is also the most dangerous course when it comes to the actual training. We've seen broken bones, we've seen concussions result from this training, more so than any other training.
Training culminates with Jump Week, where students apply everything they've learned in 5 different jumps from a live aircraft flying 1,250 feet off the ground. Jump Week begins with a jog to the airfield.
Running down here from the barracks, it's a very slow pace. I found out the purpose of that was to check to see if anyone had any injuries. And then it's a waiting game until you finally get to jump.
Students pick up their main and reserve parachutes, which have been meticulously packed and inspected by riggers. The team uses a 13-step process to pack about 75,000 parachutes a year for airborne students. If the riggers discover any deficiencies in a parachute, it is removed from circulation.
What was the deficiency with that guy?
A hole in the apex.
Hole in the apex?
Yeah.
Students head to the harness shed, where instructors inspect their parachutes.
So they go through five rounds of inspections by the time they exit the aircraft. Just to verify, re-verify, triple verify, make sure that everything is in order.
Everything from checking the helmet and the actual T11 harness and the parachute for any deficiencies, any cuts, frays, any twists, anything that could injure the jumper or cause malfunction.
After the inspections, students wait and wait and wait. Their jumps often delayed for hours by weather and air traffic control.
I will say, the harness shed is not fun. You can't talk, you can't go to the bathroom, you just have to sit there in our nice comfy harnesses until you get to jump.
Finally, the students get the signal that it's time to board the C-130 Hercules that will fly them to the drop zone. The C-130 flies toward Fryer Drop Zone on the Alabama side of the Chattahoochee River.
When you're sitting there waiting, it's like it's not real yet. When they open the doors, it's like, oh,
You know, if your heart's not already beating, that's when it starts, because you're just about to go.
Before the students jump, 2 instructors go to assess wind conditions.
So they'll jump out, not pull a slip, see where the wind's taking them, and then we'll send that wind data up to the aircraft.
On the ground, a smoke bomb ignited in a barrel provides an additional sense of wind direction and speed. The students hook their static lines to the anchor line cable. This connection will open the chute upon jumping.
It's one of those things that you don't know that much about it until you do it. And it's not as scary as people think it is.
6,000.
We all have fears. A lot of folks are scared of heights. You know, you hear the stories, possible fatalities, and you allow that to get in your head. But once you get here to the school, you'll see that it's nothing like you ever thought it would be. That 18 to 20 something seconds you have falling out of the sky, you're in your happy place.
The most surprising thing that I experienced when I exited the aircraft was the calm. It's like slipping into the void, and there's absolute silence, and it's such a cool feeling.
Keep your feet together.
But accidents can occur.
I knew I was coming for the Humvee. I tried to calm down as much as I could, keep my slip, cover my face, and just wait for what happened next.
Had First Lieutenant Davis landed just a few inches to the left, her face and head could have collided with this mirror on the side of the Humvee.
Mentally, I was back in my plebe combative class at West Point. There's a point in the class where you are going to get hit in the face, and you have to prepare for it. And I thought, I'm going to get hit, and I have to prepare.
When you jump, you can't have a clear drop zone. We have to have vehicles out there for emergency purposes, and the best you can do is pull a one-riser slip opposite the direction of the hazard, feet knees together, prepare to land.
Our next jump was the night jump, so you can imagine a somewhat traumatizing experience occurring, and then I was really trying to just remind myself that I'm good at this and just have faith in the equipment.
So how did that one go?
It went flawlessly. It was great.
Feet knees together.
Flawless landings are rare during the final jump, when students jump with about 35 pounds of combat gear added to their load.
It was really nice to get it over with on a combat jump, which that isn't fun because you're carrying all the equipment, but once you get out of the aircraft and you realize that being a smaller person kind of aids in bringing you down to the ground a little bit slower, it all pays off.
All right, comes in for a nice target landing.
Friends and family gather to see the newest class of airborne qualified soldiers graduate after 3 weeks of training.
What you see is a student that comes here. They don't know what to expect. They chose to do something that probably over 1/3 of the Army won't do. It's something to have this wing on your chest. You have proven that, hey, you jumped out of a moving aircraft. So their confidence just gets greater and greater at each phase of the course.
I was afraid of heights, but managed to step up to the plate, jump out the plane, and now I can say that I'm airborne qualified.
I've definitely grown in confidence in myself. I'm a signal officer, so I work on computers, and it's very different having a trust that a modem will function versus a parachute opening. I'm the last military member in my immediate family to become airborne qualified, so as my mom would say it, I'm no longer a dirty, nasty leg. So that's fun.
What's the leg thing?
So a leg is someone who don't have airborne wings. You can have everything, you ain't got airborne wings, you're a leg. So that's what we call you, a leg. 376 airborne students that just graduated, no longer legs.
In the air and on the ground, Army soldiers burn a lot of calories.
Y'all made that with love, huh?
Army culinary specialists are there to help them refuel, trained to prepare large-scale meals in challenging environments for hundreds of soldiers at a time.
When U.S. Army soldiers are on deployment or running field exercises, they have to eat a lot.
You got this burning right here and no food cooking. Stop.
That's where Army culinary specialists come in.
If a unit goes out to the field, if a unit deploys, well, they've got to eat. So we're going with them.
After completing basic training, future culinary specialists head to Fort Lee, Virginia, to train for 8 weeks, where they'll learn how to cook for up to 800 soldiers in this. It might not look like much now,
Stand clear. Give me a call.
but when it's fully assembled, it has the capability to act as a fully functioning kitchen that can keep troops fed in the most remote of environments.
We went from a box on wheels to a whole freaking kitchen, right?
But before trainees cook for hundreds of hungry soldiers out in the field,
That shit looks like more than 5, doesn't it?
they have to start with the basics.
There you go. Okay.
Some of them don't even know how to turn a stove on.
Insider spent 5 days at Fort Lee, observing several classes at various stages of training.
One of the main things that I like to tell my soldiers as I'm training them is we don't just provide food, we provide fuel. For those personnel who are on the front line, for the war fighter, fold this side in.
3,000 to 4,000 members of the Army and National Guard graduate every year from the 8-week course, which is broken down into 5 sections. First, classroom training on food safety, sanitation, and nutrition. Then, hands-on training in the techniques of cookery, before moving on to baking, cookies, pies, and more. Next, 5 days of cooking in the Garrison dining hall. Finally, training culminates outdoors, with a week of cooking in the Army's mobile kitchens. Trainees arrive at Fort Lee with varying levels of cooking experience.
What kind of experience did you have cooking before arriving at Fort Lee?
I cooked a lot with my mother.
I have an associate's degree in culinary arts.
I had no experience at all cooking.
Prior experience is not necessary. One of the awesome things about our job, everything you need to know, we can teach you here.
So the customer ate it, they got sick. That's all it takes.
Training begins in the classroom, with 2 days of instruction in sanitation and nutrition.
The information that trainees learn is to ensure that they're cooking good, nutritious food for the warfighter. And then they also learn about safety, sanitation, how to prevent infectious disease, how not to transfer and cross-contaminate food, and then how to provide safe meals.
Sanitation is everything. If your people aren't safe, and if you aren't safe, then the mission can't be completed.
Trainees are tested at the end of each block of training in the form of a 50-question exam.
We have anywhere from 9 to 15 different diseases that they learn. And then they have to understand what food items they're found in, how do their practices impact their ability to be able to spread those diseases to different customers within those facilities.
You will go to your stations, you will put on your hat, and you'll put on your apron.
Training moves from the classroom to the cooking labs during techniques of cookery.
The techniques of cooking is basically their first introduction to the kitchen. Some of them don't even know how to turn a stove on, so that's where I get to teach them how to use their equipment.
But before they start cooking, trainees need to become familiar with the tools they'll be working with.
This first bend in your finger, this first little knuckle, all right, this is gonna be the furthest point out, so this is gonna be on your knife. It'll be just like this. There's a couple methods that I use, like a claw method, making sure that they tuck their fingertips underneath, because in our field, you kind of need your fingers, you kind of need all of them. Cube is what? Same size all around, right? All right, so.
Trainees get to see instructor demonstrations on how to cook certain foods during their first 4 days in the labs. But they won't have that luxury later on.
Weigh up your beef, put it in your large pot, and you just move on to the next step, okay? They'll come up to front of our stations and we'll literally show them how to do it step by step, accordance with the recipe card. Then they have the opportunity to go back to their stations and apply what we taught them how to do that product. If you don't have rice in your small pot yet, half a cup of rice, all you have to do is read your recipe cards, guys. That is key. If your beef stew is at a boil, you're gonna put the lid on your beef stew and then turn it down to a simmer. I think in this whole procedure, if you don't understand how to read a recipe card, then you're gonna fail. You have to be able to read it step by step. That way you can learn how to do these things and execute. That looks like more than 5, doesn't it? Jesus. There you go, okay? The hardest thing is probably retaining information, learning the techniques that we teach them, and then applying it. Take your ladle. You don't want to overkill. Make it look nice and neat. Part of your grade is presentation, guys.
Once the trainees have completed their recipe, they bring their finished product to the back of the cooking lab to be graded on presentation, technique, and execution.
We teach them the basics, how to cut, how to slice. We also teach them how to simmer, how to braise, how to saute, and then we teach them about moist heat, dry heat. All those things incorporated get them ready for what is known as a cook-off at the 5th day. Don't stress out. Have fun. Make sure you have your utensils.
During the cook-off, trainees have 1 hour to prepare a chef's salad, green beans lyonnaise, and spaghetti with a ragu sauce, but won't receive a demonstration or explicit guidance from their instructor.
Coming in today for cook-off, I was actually excited because I enjoy cooking. That's fun. I was a little nervous about what to expect, unknown, not knowing like, oh, I make a mistake.
It was just a whole lot of anxiety, a lot of nervous thoughts and excitement bunched in one cluster.
5 minutes, guys, 5 minutes. Sometimes they are scared because there is a time that they're timed with, and also, it's just stressful. And then you got me watching you around your back and all that stuff.
At the end of the cook-off, the trainees' dishes are graded on a number of criteria. They'll be docked points if items are not cut properly, dishes are undercooked or overcooked, or if their sauce is not the right consistency.
The thing that you did wrong was supposed to be slices, correct? So
I thought you meant
those are rings.
Oh.
Yeah. But you did good on everything else. You overcooked your onions a little bit, okay, and they're a little bit too big, okay? A lot of the students did a lot of things right. The biggest thing is when they do cut-ups. Some of their cuts that they do for these products are either too big. Some things that are wrong is they don't drain all the liquids off of certain individual items. Presentation is important because it's all about eye appeal. So when you go to any restaurant and you serve something outstanding, that's going to show the people that you put your flair into it. You put your own artwork into it. Sauce, it's outstanding, good job. Salad, good presentation, and good cuts, right? So good job. All the trainees passed all their products today, so it makes me feel very happy. It makes me feel like they listened to what I had to teach, and they applied it to everything that they plated on their presentation.
And actually preparing it and see actually how you got all this put into one dish. It comes out so well. It tastes so good. It puts a lot of pride in your heart.
Sure you use your rubber spatula to get all that sugary goodness inside the bowl.
Now armed with a foundation in the techniques of cooking, trainees move on to baking.
Well, everybody has a sweet tooth, but like I say, we're just not feeding soldiers, we're feeding civilians too. So we just make sure we give them a nice home away from home treat, and I think everybody deserves that. When you're putting your sweet potato pie mixture in your shell, ensure you do not get it on the edges or it's going to burn. Everybody tracking? Remember, get your butter knife, you will stick it in the center, and then pull out, it should come out clean. So if not, just put it back in there. But sometimes in techniques of cooking, they have trouble in that, and then they become the best baker in this section because they know they have to pay attention to detail and they can't skip any steps.
Baking is a science, and if you don't pay attention exactly, you're gonna get it wrong.
If we had a conventional oven, yeah, it will be done, but these gas, because the heat is coming from the bottom, it's taking longer for it to cook around it.
I've learned a lot with Miss Harrison. She's a great cook, great teacher.
So once your fruit pie and your sweet potato pie, when they're done, I want you to put them both on the same sheet pan. And then we're gonna present it over there by our numbers.
Once again, the trainees' finished products are graded on a number of criteria.
For my custard pie, you guys did a real good job. So the filling looks good, so now my eyes is going to the crust, okay? So that's what's gonna sell me, the crust. Ooh, it's tight. Who's this, number 6, number 2, and number 7 again. You did a good job today.
The baking module of training also ends in a 50-question exam and bake-off. But for now, trainees get to enjoy the fruits of their labor. The Garrison Operations module of training is a culmination of everything the trainees have learned so far.
It's the first glimpse of what they will see once they get to their actual unit after they graduate.
Trainees spend 5 days cooking in an actual Garrison kitchen at Fort Lee, preparing a variety of food.
Platoon, attention. Squad leaders prepare for cook now. Call out.
We observed one platoon of trainees over the course of several mornings, which starts at 0500 with what's called a cook's mount.
It's accountability for everyone that's supposed to be on the shift. And we're checking for the hair, we're checking to make sure that it's nice, neat, we're checking for nail length, we're checking to make sure that there's no abrasions or make sure that they're not sick.
Once the trainees pass their daily inspection, they start preparing breakfast.
Think about when y'all made cinnamon rolls upstairs in small quantity baking. You're making it the same way.
Operations are a lot more thorough than what I had expected it to be. Everybody is assigned to their own station and position, and whatever doesn't get done in the end, we pick up the slack and as a team and work together to ensure that food gets handled out in an orderly manner.
Slice the entire ham up, cut it off, then you remove the ham, right, and you put it into your third pan, okay? For the first couple of days, I look for them to be sort of confused. They don't know where things are. They don't know how to turn on certain equipments and things of that nature. You want to kind of make it in a straight line, right, and then remember which ones you laid down first, right? Come Thursday and Friday, then that's when the instructors typically take a step back, and then we kind of let them operate on their own so we can see if they're grasping the information.
Even though it was stressful, it was really like hands-on, and you got to like learn and experience a lot more things, and you got to make more like meals, prepare dishes for like other people to eat, not just yourself and your platoon.
Thank you very much. A little bit of salt.
Trainees head outside for the 5th and final module of training, which is focused on field cooking operations.
So you're gonna alternate your meat between here and here. You know what I mean?
The equipment that we teach here at Field Operations Training Branch, that's the equipment that we use in the operational force.
But before they can start cooking in the mobile kitchens,
on lift, everybody raise it up. Ready, set, go.
1, 2, 3, on lift.
they have to learn how to build them.
Let me get 4 up there, everybody else down here on the ground. So the mobile kitchen trailer, we can use that when we got up to 300 personnel to feed 3 times a day and in basically any environment. Take a mental note of where everything is, all right? Because that's how we're gonna pack it back up.
In addition to the mobile kitchen trailer, trainees are taught how to build and operate the Army's containerized kitchen, or CK.
The containerized kitchen, that is our largest field feeding platform. We're gonna use our containerized kitchen more often in a situation where we've built up some infrastructure. We have the capacity to feed 800 personnel, and with our capacity to feed more people, we can bring more people in to support that area, to defend that area, and to accomplish those missions.
Watch your head, watch your head, watch your head, watch your head.
The process of setting up the CK is very challenging because there's a lot of big moving parts. You gotta watch out for your battle buddies because there's a lot of things that's unfolding and spreading out on the CK, so you gotta communicate.
Over the course of 2 weeks, trainees have to pass a 50-question exam and demonstrate proficiency with each piece of equipment.
We went from a box on wheels to a whole freaking kitchen, right?
Y'all made that with love, huh? Y'all made that with love. They look good.
The final week of training is spent cooking in the mobile kitchens, and not just for themselves.
At any given time, we can have up to 300 or 400 personnel out here on the grounds. They're gonna break down their meals, they're gonna identify how many personnel they're actually feeding, and then they're going to actually prepare meals for everybody at FOTB, not just their group.
I specifically told nobody to turn on the MBU without my eyes on it. You got this burning right here and no food cooking. Stop. Put them on there. Again, nobody will turn on any MBUs without me visually looking at you.
Learning in the mobile kitchen, it's been challenging because it's different. It's a lot of moving parts. It's a lot of things that you have to take in consideration.
The aspect that I do enjoy the most in the mobile kitchen is the closeness I get with my battle buddies. I could just be like, okay, here's this, put this to the side for a minute, help them out, cool, spin around, help the next person, go back to what I'm doing. Like, we work as a team.
1 full scoop of oatmeal, 1 full scoop of potato, and 1 of these.
In my experience, their response to utilizing the equipment is by far and away positive. They like learning and they like seeing the fruits of their labor.
When we go to the field, soldiers are tired, they're running through missions, they're running through lanes, and then when they see you, it's almost like they're not tired no more because they got food, they got nice, hot chow, and that's just the most motivating thing.
According to Fort Lee, about 95% of trainees who start the course are able to graduate. Once they do, they'll be assigned to their next unit, either domestically or at one of the hundreds of Army bases around the world.
Training here has been an experience, it's been fun. I learned a lot of new things, cooked in a lot of different elements and environments and stuff like that, so it's been great.
This job is not lower than any other job that's in the military. It's just as hard as any other job out there. What I think about food is morale. When they come out of the field doing, crazy things out there, and they have a good meal, hot meal, then it makes them just happy and gives them more energy and they're able to accomplish their mission.
Is the meat in there?
Yes, chicken burritos.
After 10 weeks of basic training, many soldiers move on to the armor school, where they learn how to fight inside the belly of this steel beast. You've probably seen this before, but this is what it's like inside a tank when it fires. Because of security concerns, the U.S. Army doesn't let outside cameras inside its tanks. But it gave us this exclusive footage of what it's like to train on the inside. These soldiers are training to be tankers in the U.S. Army. And even though the U.S. has used tanks in combat for over a century, this generation of soldiers could have a unique advantage.
These 2 triggers are to shoot. It's like a video game controller, sir. All you need to do is just hold on to this and press fire.
Video games actually helps because when you're inside, you have certain controls for operating the gun called Cadillacs, and it's basically like holding a controller. As soon as they get in that gunner station, they hold on to that, it's already familiar to them.
Up.
For a video game generation, I think they're doing great on the tanks because this is what they do at home, is play with a controller. That's what a tank is. It's playing with a giant controller.
Why do you like tanks?
Tanks, it just run stuff over, blow stuff up all day. Who wouldn't want to do that all day?
This is why we're here. We're here to fire things and blow stuff up.
Ever since I was little, it's just always been a dream of mine to be able to say, I work on tanks.
People who like big guns and loud noises, 1,500 horsepower engines and fire, that's how it draws me in.
It may seem like fun, but these soldiers find out during training there's much more to being a tanker than this. And that with the fun comes inherent danger.
These things can happen to you. You can get crushed, your arms, legs, and whatever it is. There's a lot of things that can go wrong in a tank, and we try to tell them about the safety hazards. That way they can be scared of it and then respect it through fear.
Inside the armor school in Fort Benning, Georgia, Army soldiers train to fight with this, the M1 Abrams battle tank. Nicknamed the Beast, Dracula, and Whispering Death.
That is a 70-ton hunk of American steel, and it is crazy to think that one of us can get behind the wheel of that thing.
Along with tankers, the armor school trains cavalry scouts. Known as the eyes and ears of the battlefield, they train with grenade launchers and anti-tank weapons.
Armor is basically the term that the United States military uses for when it comes to any kind of mechanized force. Our main goal is force on force with armor on armor. Scouts and tankers were the armor community.
Place your weapon on platform, Private.
All enlisted armor soldiers must complete 22 weeks of one-station unit training.
Put on safe, knucklehead.
After 10 weeks of basic training, trainees go through 12 more weeks of advanced instruction.
Go, dude.
Base pay starts at about $22,000 a year. Insiders spent 4 days inside the armor school, where we saw different groups of soldiers at various stages of training. Once inside Fort Benning, it's about a 45-minute drive to Hastings Range, where soldiers train to drive the tank and use its weapon systems, including a 120mm cannon and mounted machine guns.
So what are a few things after watching the video that you guys noticed you did wrong?
When I needed to save the gun on the last shot, I missed the handle.
You gotta shoot low, see where your bursts are hitting, and then walk it up.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Growing up, I feel like a lot of kids play video games, they see the tanks in the games, and you know, it's everyone's dream to be inside of a tank. But being on top of one, being inside of one is a completely different feeling. It was way better than I could have imagined. It was amazing.
But tanks emerged long before the era of video games. First used in combat in World War I. The U.S. Army transitioned its horse-mounted cavalry branch to a fully mechanized force in the Second World War.
The lessons of World War II have taught American Army men the need for tanks, and more tanks.
But what we have now is the capability to take a tank on.
During Week 1, trainees get an up-close look at the evolution of American tanks and those used by the enemy.
So when that gun fired on a light aluminum vehicle, it was a religious experience because it bucked like a bronco.
After decades of evolution, one tank emerged as the Army's weapon of choice: the M1 Abrams. With a unit cost of about $9 million, it debuted in combat during the Gulf War and remains the Army's main battle tank. It's manned by a 4-person crew: the tank commander, the gunner, the loader, and the driver. The driver sits at the front of the tank's hull. The other 3 occupy the basket attached to the tank's turret, which moves with the turret when it rotates.
How does one drive a tank?
It's a throttle like a four-wheeler. You're holding it, you throttle to go faster. Driving, I would say, is the easiest part of being on a tank.
What was it like in there when you actually fired the round?
Just like a really strong gust of wind hits you. There's some dust flying. I mean, it was insane.
The smell inside the tank, that smell is just, you only get it inside the tank. You can never get it anywhere else. I can't explain it, sir. It's just, you gotta experience it yourself.
Do you feel safe when you're inside that tank?
No, sir.
No? Why?
I don't have an answer for that, sir.
Do you think because you know that anti-armor guns could take you out as well? Is that kind of why? Or?
No, sir.
Okay.
When they get inside that and they see everything, it's daunting. It kind of scares them because there's so much that can happen. There's so many moving parts. These things can happen to you. You can get crushed, your arms, legs, and whatever it is. There's a lot of things that can go wrong in a tank, and we try to tell them about the safety hazards. That way they can be scared of it and then respect it through fear. And it helps them throughout their career and understand that, hey, I know what this is going to do to me if I'm in the way.
See these little dudes, they just fall right in there, huh? Those big boys gotta like crawl in there.
Before they operate the tank, they go over the proper procedures step by step.
So the parking brake is set, correct? Yes, sir.
Go ahead and disconnect that and then put it back together. All right, so we're driving around, all of a sudden there's a fire. What's the first thing we do?
We turn towards the wind.
You ain't gonna alert nobody? You gonna start dipping out on them?
No, sir.
Okay, so what do we do first?
They learn about the tank's features.
Just like that.
And its limitations.
This way.
Where's the bathroom on the Abrams?
Sir, there is no bathroom on the Abrams.
There isn't a bathroom.
No?
No. There's no restroom in the tank. Like, everything inside the tank is meant to destroy the enemy and continue the mission and finish the mission's intent.
Where's the bathroom on the Abrams?
In the bottle.
Yeah?
It's a bottle. There's no bathroom in there. If you gotta go, you gotta go.
Soldiers spend part of training in the motor pool, where they learn how to maintain the tank's components and its weapons. They learn how to repair the tank's tracks and wheels using tools like sledgehammers.
All right.
We teach them how to do things out here to where they can troubleshoot anything out there because they already know the steps and stuff like that. Just so they know what they're doing in like a safe environment versus, you know, if we're out on the range and something were to happen, they didn't know what to do.
They're going through the clear, disassemble, reassemble, load, unload, and perform a functions check on a 50 cal. It's a M2 50 caliber machine gun. It's one of the weapon systems on the tank. It's mounted on the top of the tank. They do have to be trained and proficient with it. You're proficient in every station on the tank and every weapon system in case something happens to someone on the crew. It's considered a small arms weapon, mostly because it does have the 120mm main gun.
The Abrams tank's 120mm smoothbore gun fires a variety of rounds that can destroy other tanks up to 3,000 meters away.
So this is our M865 training Sabo round. This is what we use to simulate our service Sabo ammunition for training. Weighs about, approximately 35 pounds. The blue aluminum petals are discarded when it is fired. The silver spike is the actual sub-projectile that goes downrange impacts with the target. The tank can hold 42 rounds total. Our service ammunition is designed to penetrate through enemy armor, and then it has a devastating effect on the inside of the vehicle. Come on, come on. This one's a little bit heavier. This is the M1002 training MPAT round. When a service round of this type hits a target, it will blow up on the outside of it, and it forms a jet stream of copper. I'm going to set it back down.
Is it heavy?
It is a little bit heavy. So
how much does that one weigh?
This one's about 62 pounds. They're expected to be able to load that 62-pound round in about 7 seconds.
The rounds aren't light. When loading, you have to be fast and efficient.
How have you trained physically?
A lot of push-ups.
That's a movie, not a picture.
Oh.
Female soldiers became eligible to train for combat arms positions in 2016. Today, about 4% of the soldiers training in the armor school are women.
There are mostly male soldiers. I wasn't expecting a lot of females to be here when I first showed up. I expect the same treatment that the males get.
Do you feel like you've gotten that?
Yes, sir.
Among soldiers training to be cavalry scouts, the percentage of women is even smaller, only about 2%.
What is a Cav Scout?
So a Cav Scout is basically the eyes and ears of the brigade.
The eyes and ears of the commander.
The eyes and ears of the battlefield.
The eyes and ears of the battlefield. So you're going in and you're being sneaky and trying to figure out the enemy and their positions.
Scouts get sent out before any other larger elements such as infantry or heavy armor. So it's basically the Cav Scout's responsibility to make sure that an area is either clear or if that there are enemies in an area, we're relaying exactly what they're doing up the chain of command.
Blank rounds are used during this training exercise. During the shooting,
You supposed to be shooting right now? No, Sergeant. Why are you shooting?
an instructor alerted this soldier that while he was aiming toward the enemy, his fellow soldiers were in the path of his rifle.
That's bad, and that's something we got to stop right away. You get the adrenaline going, you kind of zone in on one thing, you get the blinders put on. In a training environment, that's absolutely when you want to do something like that, so it can be corrected and fixed.
I had never fired a weapon before I joined the Army, sir.
Really?
No, sir.
No hunting or anything like that?
No hunting, sir. It's definitely become more familiar and normal. It's just basically a part of the uniform at this point.
Cav Scouts get hands-on experience with even more powerful weapons, like the M320 grenade launcher, which attaches to the M4 carbine. and the AT-4 rocket launcher.
The reason why scouts are learning how to utilize this weapon system is because we would need to be able to destroy enemy armor vehicles. Tanks, definitely a civilian vehicle would not stand a chance against this.
The AT-4 is a single-use weapon. After it's fired, it can't be reloaded, and each live round costs about $2,000. That's why soldiers in training learn to aim and fire it using 9mm bullets.
Loaded.
Although the soldiers don't fire live rounds themselves, instructors demonstrate what the AT-4 can really do.
Clear.
This is something that the soldiers look forward to. It provides them with the capability of them actually being able to destroy enemy armor vehicles.
As armor soldiers, tankers and Cav Scouts are technically teammates, but there's a competition between them.
I've heard that there's like a saying for the Cavalry Scouts. It's like,
If you ain't Cav, you ain't shit.
what does that mean?
You're not shit if you're not a Cav Scout.
Hey, brothers! If you ain't Cav, you ain't shit!
There it is.
But tankers tend to disagree.
The scouts are just, to me, they're just jealous because they have to walk into the woods and hide there and play hide and go seek on a professional level, while us tankers get to chill inside this steel beast that has AC and a heat.
A Cav Scout's mission is to gather intelligence to share with their commander, who may decide to send in tanks to engage the enemy.
When we need the tankers, we need the tankers, and when they need us, they need us. We give each other a hard time, but we really need each other.
Scouts report a section of enemy armor in your sector. Defender report.
The partnership is simulated in live fire exercises.
108, at this time, battle carry Sable. Prepare for a defensive engagement. Ensure you're in a defile. Report recon 1. Target.
Instructors observe and command the soldiers from a tower overlooking the range.
108 and 103, updated air and barrel follows.
Thermal cameras show the targets more than 1,000 meters away.
Target.
I'm giving each individual tank the proper commands of what to expect, what they're going to shoot, when to move. It is my job to ensure that the tanks are identifying and engaging the proper targets.
They could be deploying to Korea or Kuwait or Europe. It could be anything, and we just tell them, hey, you need to be prepared mentally, financially. Make sure you talk to your families and all this, and just be ready for anything. As soon as you graduate, you're gonna hit the ground running.
It feels great knowing that I'll be able to go out and serve this country one way or another. It's a little scary knowing that I might be going away from home, but I know my family will be waiting when I get back. I never thought that I would make it this far, and my battle buddies kept pushing me forward, not letting me quit, and it pays off in the end a lot.
They change a lot in terms of like their discipline and their camaraderie with everybody. And in day one, they don't have that. They've never built the brotherhood with each other. But at the end of the day, they know that they have to work together, because that's what we do in the United States Army. Like, we have to work together, because without that, like, we're nobody.
Tell me about these boots here. I've never seen anything like them.
During the Battle of Bulge in 1945 in Germany, and the infantry were out there in the muck, and the tankers were inside the Shermans, and it was so cold that the boot laces of the infantry were breaking. So the tankers took the boot laces off and gave it to the infantry. We took our belts off, put around our boots, leather straps. But most importantly though is boot laces are flammable. Leather straps are not. So having the least amount of flammable items on you while inside the tank is where you want to be at.
Are they comfortable?
Oh, this is all I wear. I don't wear any other boots. I'll ruck in them, I tank in them, I do everything in these boots.
Go, let's go, let's go, let's go, get off the axe!
In combat, injuries are inevitable. That's why Army soldiers train to be ready to use techniques that could make the difference between life and death.
Hey, we got a gunshot.
GSW chest!
Where?
RTO's down, GSW chest.
Left! What's the injuries?
This is a recreation of a battalion aid station. The first place where soldiers injured in combat might be transferred to receive medical care. And while all the injuries you see here are simulated on dummies or fellow trainees, the main element this training recreates is the stress of being a combat medic in the field.
You're tired, you're working all day, every day, it's hot outside. It's just kind of relentless after a while. You just gotta keep motivated.
The most difficult part for everybody would be the sleep deprivation.
Dealing with that stress is the biggest obstacle for these future combat medics. After basic and 15 more weeks of medical training, trainees find themselves here in the 8-day final test called the field training exercise, where they'll have to be ready to use everything they've learned.
There's a reason why this course is so intense, is because we're trying to prepare them for the rigors of battle. Without that little bit of stress every day, they're not going to be prepared for actual combat.
The culminating field training exercise consists of 3 parts.
Hey, talk to us.
Dismounted patrol,
We need to maintain pressure on this exit wound. Let's
a
go.
battalion aid station,
Once he gets blood, I'm sure respiratory rate will drop.
and prolonged casualty care. Because combat medics are trained like any other Army soldier, during dismounted patrol, students are tasked with a tactical mission where they'll eventually come upon wounded soldiers.
Push up! You need to push forward! On your feet, push up, push up, on your feet, push up! Push up, push up!
And react accordingly to any threats that arise.
During large-scale combat operations, they're going to have to know how to move thoroughly and how to maneuver properly in order to save lives.
Nugent! What?
Come here!
Hey, secure the scene!
When the students come upon a casualty, the first thing they have to do is determine what type of care to give. Something they learn to assess in the second phase of training, which is focused on casualty combat care.
I need a medic! You're gonna open up their gear, open up their top all the way down to the brown t-shirt. We start teaching it this early in the course because there's so much that goes into it, they need a lot of time to practice.
Controlled casualty assessments, or CCAs, are a process that combat medics use to assess trauma casualties.
Hurry up and get down here! So we start with them carrying under fire. They go out there, get fire superiority, make sure there's no obvious bleeding on the arms or the legs. If there is, they put a tourniquet on and they drag them what we call off the X. They drag them off the X and into tactical field care. Let's go, get off the X!
When assessing a casualty, students are taught to follow the mnemonic device, MARCH, which stands for massive hemorrhage, airway, respiration, circulation, and hypothermia.
You're gonna start with your blood sweep. If I see blood, I'll pack it. They start with a blood sweep from the neck all the way down to make sure they control the bleeding. Hey, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Then they go to airway, making sure that their airway is open. And then they go down to respiration, so they open up all their gear, look at the chest wall, and make sure there's no holes there. For holes all the way down. Look at the back, make sure there's no injuries over there. They move on to circulation, make sure that they have a pulse, what we call radial pulse, or down there in their wrist. And they go down to hypothermia, so we're always making sure that we keep our casualties warm, so we wrap them up in a blanket. And then we move into tactical evacuation care. At this time, the medic should be at the head of the litter. The security should be at the foot. And you're getting ready to take your casualty to the HLZ. Then they're just reassessing at that point, making sure that all the interventions that they have done are still working. They'll start giving pain medications if they need it, antibiotics if the casualty needs it, while we're waiting for the bird or the vehicle to come get the casualty out of there.
Actually seeing somebody getting hurt in combat is extremely stressful. But if you have that muscle memory, because you've done this skill over and over and over again, it's like tying your shoes. You don't have to think about tying your shoes, you just do it.
I need y'all to get a CCP set up now.
In the perimeter.
Come on, Louis.
Yes, I'm pretty sure they're tired, they're stressed out, they want to fight each other, they want to be in the comfort of their own homes. But again, it's training, retrain to fight, and this is what we do.
Once the students stabilize their patients, they evacuate them to safety and to receive further treatment. When casualties are evacuated from combat, they're taken to a battalion aid station, the second portion of the field training exercise.
Sir, can we get pulse and SpO2, please?
So they're expected to triage casualties, get them into the aid station, get them treated by doing their combat casualty assessment and treating any life-threatening injuries, and get them stabilized to move to the next highest level of care.
They can't feel your radio pulse. We can't feel his radio pulse because we got, so we're gonna have to do IO.
We throw all kinds of different patients. We start out with sick call patients, patients with normal everyday illnesses or injuries. We see trauma patients, from amputations to gunshot wounds to abdominal evisceration.
It's gonna be what, 1 milligram so we're gonna give her 100 off the bat.
They are pretty physically tested. They just get bombarded with patients sometimes, and it's exhausting. And then after a few days, or even after the 12 hours that they're on shift or 16 hours that they're on shift, they just get tired.
All right, he's got abdominal evisceration and left leg amputation.
We're working on 4 to 5 hours of sleep a night, if that, because in a realistic world, medics will not have that much sleep because we're going to have patients nonstop.
The patients students treat in this portion of the field exercise are represented by these high-fidelity mannequins that trainees first encountered earlier in their training.
Do I have pressure yet?
Nope. Yeah, for a millisecond.
We teach them how to be able to pack junctional bleeds, how to put on tourniquets, but with these mannequins here, they're able to see, okay, here's how tight I need to have a tourniquet, how much pressure I need to hold into packing a junctional wound.
Once it's pretty much packed, that's when you pile the rest in, and your body weight, for the medics, your body weight is what's gonna help you. You do not, if you're just over here like this, it's gonna keep bleeding.
The mannequins the students work with are able to move, breathe, and bleed, and even offer real-time feedback.
So that controller shows all the vitals of the casualties. Once they start packing a wound, it shows if they're holding enough pressure to be able to stop that bleed. If they're putting on a tourniquet, it shows if they're having enough pressure on that tourniquet to be able to stop that bleed.
All right, bleeding control. Extremities.
Once we were able to give them that real-time feedback, they know, all right, that's how much pressure I need to apply every time. This is exactly what I need to do to actually save a life on combat environment.
Working with these mannequins is very interesting. They act very much like a real person, so it can be a little bit intimidating when you first come up to one, because it is our first time really working with something like this, as opposed to just having, somebody else just laying on the ground and you're just sort of going through the motions. It makes it a lot more real.
Get his armor off.
Training gets even more realistic when students are put through a simulated combat scenario in which they have to find and treat their assigned casualty within a certain amount of time. Doing so in near total darkness and surrounded by the sounds of battle.
It's important for the soldier medics to be put under these stressors because they're not always going to be put in ideal situations when having to apply these interventions.
It was a pretty stressful environment coming in. There was a lot of flashing lights and it was pretty dark and very loud. Simulated very much a real combat environment.
Put his arm up and over. Arm up and over. Arm up and over.
When trainees approach a mannequin, they perform a casualty assessment, following the march procedure they learned earlier in training, and work to stop any bleeding as quickly as possible.
Hurry up, move quickly.
All while instructors monitor from eyes in the sky.
In my control room, I'm able to see what everybody's doing. If you were to look around, you see that I have 16 cameras throughout my lab, so I can actually direct them right on to where my casualties are, so I can actually get a better view.
The mannequins also send real-time vital signs information to instructors so they can monitor the students' performance.
I'll be able to see their heart rate, blood pressure, respiratory rate, their end-tidal CO2s. It'll show me that they're still bleeding. It'll show me whether the bleeding is controlled and the time that it was controlled. This one here, they've been maintaining pressure, so they've almost got the bleeding controlled because they've been holding it for 3 minutes. This one's close, but that one didn't make it. He died on it. He bled out.
How long was he bleeding from the femoral artery?
About 2 minutes.
No, like 7 minutes. Till almost the end of your assessment. Your patient died. And then he stopped bleeding.
I take notes as I'm doing it, so that way when I do a debriefing, I can actually come out and tell them, like, hey, your patient died at this time. This is what they died from.
The mistakes students make at this point will act as valuable lessons as they move on through their training.
How much blood do you think collected up in here, and then while you're putting pressure, squeezed out of it? A lot, right? You think that's enough to kill this guy? Enough blood loss to kill this guy? Yeah.
I didn't know they were going to bleed that much. What was really hard about it was actually putting the amount of pressure to stop the bleeding. So assessing bleeding control is super important.
I think the big thing was communication, right? Yeah. When you guys first came in, you were both working on the same injury at the same time, right? There's multiple medics, so you can work on multiple injuries, right? Just communicate, make sure you're on the same page, make sure you're doing multiple things.
Teamwork is extremely important. It's important to stay calm and be able to communicate what you need done for the patient with your partner to make sure that everybody's on the same page and everybody's sticking to life-saving measures that need to be taken.
They're taught in the whiskey portion of the program to treat patients as one person, and we teach them here in the aid station. It's not just one person, it's a team effort where you're treating one injury and I'll treat the other injury, or you're getting vital signs and I'm giving an IV.
Go for it. We got the patient. We got to start wrapping that axillary with. Go!
The third block of the field training exercise is the prolonged casualty care lane, where students perform more advanced procedures and have to care for patients for an extended period of time.
Is this bag with the Y tubing for blood, get it ready for blood?
Instead of having medical evacuation assets available to you in the next hour or 2 hours, we want them to start thinking, I've done this, and then what? So if evacuation is delayed for 1 hour or 2 hours or a day or 2 days, it's asking, what else can I do for this patient?
I don't have rise and fall from this side of the chest.
Okay,
So
give it a minute. This isn't going to be simultaneous. We're not going to seal it and then he's going to start breathing again.
We have a patient that is brought in from patrol. They may or may not have all their injuries substantially taken care of, so therefore they're brought to us. We have to package them, get any life-saving interventions going through a specific algorithm. We're doing it under a high-stress environment, low light, simulating an area that is far away from home. Supplies may be limited, manpower may be limited, and you have to do everything you can and meet your evac time.
So, 140, blood pressure 140 over 70.
High-fidelity mannequins are again used, and they offer real-time feedback on their vital signs.
Are his eyes moving? Is he responding to light?
Yeah, they're dilute or
Is he responding to light, yes or no?
You have someone that's on the head that's usually your lead person. They are the one calling the shots, calling the movements, repeating back what they need, if they need any interventions, any medications.
All right, give me another roll.
Another roll? Another roll.
Another roll, come back off.
And then after that, you will have people on each side, designated spots of the body, left upper hemisphere, left lower hemisphere, that type of thing. Overall, it just creates for a better teamwork environment.
You got what looks like a laceration abrasion on the left hip. Yes. Left hip front. Hey, and then another laceration left thigh.
Students will spend around 4 hours treating each patient using techniques and procedures they learned during the first phase of their training. They get an introduction to emergency medicine early on in training as part of becoming EMT certified.
Challenges that students face in this portion of student training is a fire hose of information tasked with skills that they're performing for the first time. So that high stakes testing and situation that they're in really provides them with a very good backbone for the future of their medical careers.
And one swift motion, a stab till you hear the click. One.
They throw a lot at you, so it's a lot of memorization and just being able to think critically and think quickly and be effective.
Sir, please go ahead and stop chest compressions. And go ahead and assess carotid pulse and breathing.
It all leads up to the NREMT exam, a 2-part certification process that all students must complete before moving on with their training.
It represents a national standard of excellence, and we ask the same thing for our healthcare providers, our doctors, our nurses. All of them have to meet national standards and board certification, and we require our medics to have that same standard.
And you are going to inflate the balloon, all 10 milliliters of air.
The injuries that we're teaching them to treat would be anything that interferes with the movement of air in and out of the body. Whether that be that they inhaled superheated air or they have some sort of maxillofacial trauma, we teach them to mitigate or even bypass that oropharynx so that air can still move into the lungs.
2005.
During the field training exercise, students need to know several procedures for treating injuries to a patient's airway. And one of the more complicated procedures future combat medics learn is how to perform the cricothyrotomy, which might be required if a soldier sustains an injury to the face or lungs.
Scalpel. Sharps!
Students first practice performing a cricothyrotomy on a mannequin before moving on to real tissue in the form of a pig trachea.
All right, we're gonna put it, nope, you want it to go in this way, right? Because we're trying to go this way.
I really enjoyed the pig because it was like an actual, trachea and stuff. So I got to feel how a real one, like the anatomy feels.
Feel that roll into the trachea. You're trying to push down. Don't push down because that's why you're not getting air.
What we're doing right now is just giving them tools and skills, and then later on when they do their field training exercise, they will actually have them start thinking outside of the box. What kind of things do you do when you don't have that surgical crack? How are you going to maintain that airway and get that oxygenation level back up?
And he's going to keep rocking that bag.
One of the final procedures students learn in training is also one of the newest additions to the program: how to perform an autologous blood transfusion.
A situation a student may find themselves in an operational setting where they might need to administer fresh whole blood is a patient that's hemorrhaging and has lost a significant portion of blood and is in hypovolemic shock or hemorrhagic shock. And what we're going to do is we're going to return that blood product back into them, preferably fresh whole blood, in order to get return of radial pulses and get them into a normotensive status.
So I'm going to go right here, and we go right here.
After several lectures, the students observe an instructor demonstration before practicing on a training simulator.
So I think initially they definitely have some butterflies, but once they see the instructors do it, you see the arms behind us, they get to practice on the arms before they practice on a live patient. I think that kind of fades away, and I think they're excited.
Finally, the students practice performing the procedure on each other.
It was nerve-wracking. I was doing it on a friend of mine, and I just kept thinking, man, it'd be really awkward if I did something wrong. I mean, how did you talk about that, bring that up afterwards? Like, hey, I'm totally sorry I forgot to tie off the blood bag, but it's cool.
In my head, I was just like, please don't kill her, please don't kill her. I was just trying to make sure, like, I got everything precise. At the end of the day, I got it, you know. Didn't lose any extra blood. She was fine, and it went well.
When you're doing blood transfusions, you have to make sure that you're watching their vitals. You have to continuously stay on top of it. There's a lot of moving parts to it that need to be done simultaneously and continuously.
Did you ever think you'd be capable of performing a blood transfusion?
No, not at all. Especially when I was doing it, I was like, I kept thinking of everything I could possibly do to do it wrong. I'm like, maybe I'll do this and this will be wrong. So I never thought I'd be capable of doing it, but once I did, just kind of smooth sailing from there.
As soon as he plugs that in, let's go.
In the culminating field training exercise, students don't know which of the procedures they'll have to use, which is why they have to be prepared for all the ones they've learned in training.
There's an expectation that they're going to stumble a bit, but as long as we can watch that group and watch them kind of think through the problem and start looking around their setting and being like, what other tools do I have available that I can use to help this patient along? And if I don't have exactly what I need, what can I do to kind of make that happen?
Need a 10cc flush. When did you throw that tourniquet on?
Tourniquet was on probably 5 minutes ago. For me, it literally just draws me in. I'm focused on what I need to do. What's going on right there in front of me is what needs to be done. So for me, I'm at home.
In my opinion, they view this as the best part of their training. They actually get to see what they've learned in the classroom actually get put into action.
I feel really accomplished. It's been hard, but it's been really rewarding too. It's just crazy to think that I made it this far, and I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of all my battle buddies, and we're all doing really well.
After surviving the field training exercise, the students depart from Camp Bullis with a 4-mile ruck march at sunrise, symbolizing the end of their training. Most of the graduates will return to their home station, either in the National Guard or the Army Reserve. The rest will be assigned to their next post in the active duty force.
When you look at the future operating environment and what that beholds with near-peer adversaries and a higher op-tempo environment, an environment that will require prolonged field care in some cases, Army medics, the training that is conducted with them is far greater and more impactful than it ever has been.
Life was finite, and you don't always know if you're guaranteed tomorrow. You may go out on a patrol one day, nothing happened. You go on a patrol the next day, you're getting shot at, you're taking casualties, and your battle buddy's relying on you. And no matter what, you're going to do what you can to get your battle buddy home.
The military's focus has shifted from the Middle East to the Asia-Pacific region, where tension with China is forcing the Army to prepare for combat in a new type of terrain, the jungle.
All right, Jungle, are you able to continue training?
I'm not sure.
Jungle, that's a yes or no question. Are you able to continue training?
This is the Army's Jungle Operations Training Course.
Get that weapon, squad leader, get that weapon!
Each year, over 40% of those who start won't make it to the end.
Why'd you join the Army?
I joined the Army because I wanted to go to war.
The United States is a Pacific power, and we are here to stay.
It's no secret, China is the pacing threat for the U.S. military. We've got an incredibly relevant mission. We have the opportunity out here to prepare for a terrain that's probably the most difficult environments that we can imagine.
Welcome to the jungle, or as they call it in jungle school, the J.
Just another day in the J.
Alright, so same thing with wildlife, right? So 50% of everything in the jungle is trying to kill and eat you. Same thing goes with our plants, right?
It's one of the first lessons students learn at jungle school, that 50% of everything in the jungle is trying to kill you. In the J, visibility is limited, and movement is slow and methodical. There are no jungles on the U.S. mainland. That's why training happens here, on the island of Oahu in Hawaii. Though the island is known for the tranquil beaches of Waikiki and the big surf of the North Shore, one only has to look inland to see a vast jungle canopy, which is why the Army trains soldiers for jungle fighting at the 25th Infantry Division's Lightning Academy near the town of Wahioa. On day 1, 80 students report for training.
SANDOV.
Only 51 will make it to graduation. The rest are dropped during the 12-day course by failing one of 5 critical tests.
All right, first rank, go ahead and stand up with your LA-100s.
Students must pass them all and survive 3 straight days in the jungle in a culminating exercise. Only then will they graduate and receive the coveted jungle tab.
Hey, hurry up, jungle, let's go!
8 students are instantly dropped from the course because they failed to arrive with the 27 critical items on the packing list, but their spots are backfilled with students on a wait list.
You have 3 minutes. 3 minutes to dump everything out of your bags. They don't have to look pretty, jungle. All right, just dump all of your stuff. If you have any tobacco products, all right, dip, snuff, vapes, cigarettes, cigars, whatever it is, anything that goes along those lines, it gets put in the amnesty box. You have 7.5 minutes to pack up all of your gear. Your other counterparts at half the class, they did it in 7. I'm giving you an extra 30 seconds because you have a straggler with you. 2-5.
The instructors don't address the students by name. Instead, each student is assigned a roster number, which is essentially their name for the rest of jungle school.
Why did you decide to come to JOTC?
Well, I'm a sergeant now, and I have soldiers who follow me, and I have to show them that if I can do it, they can do it. So it's more of leading the way.
Could you walk me through this again?
It just has to flip through itself.
Roger, okay.
It's time for the first critical test.
All right, generals, next knot we're gonna go over here is the slip figure 8.
Knots.
All right, there's a 30-second knot. Execute, execute, execute.
The students are timed on their ability to correctly tie a series of knots that they're expected to master before showing up to jungle school.
The round the body bone line with a double figure 8.
They'll use the knots later in the course to create life-saving rope systems in the jungle.
3, 2, 1. Hands off.
Instructors walk around and inspect each knot. Number 25 takes a knee because he failed one of the critical knots. But that doesn't mean he's dropped from the course. He'll get one more chance in a retest on day 2.
I felt awful, like I was an idiot. But I just took it as they hold me to the standard. They're not going to let anything slide. And just grateful that I get a chance to show that I can do it right.
The rest of the squad is going to be tying the around the body bone line, like Sergeant Witt had it, and they're going to move up, and the platoon commander is going to hook him up on the other side of that knot, and they're going to send him. She's going to send him across. Understood. Okay. All right.
I'm a first-generation immigrant, and my parents always taught me how to prove one's Americanness, and so I grew up alongside military service members, and so I was really inspired and motivated by responding to a calling that's greater than one's, self-interest.
This is the toughest operational environment that you'll ever operate in. The soldier cannot fight in the jungle until that soldier learns to survive in the jungle. That same soldier must use the jungle as a friend, not as an enemy. With proper training, a soldier can become a skilled jungle fighter.
There's no pay increase for soldiers with the jungle tab. The value of the course is perceived as the experience and knowledge that graduates can take back and share with their units.
Yeah, I just came out to get a little bit of training, go through jungle school, hopefully pass, get back and teach my soldiers something. That's really the biggest thing I wanted to take away from this school.
It kind of right here.
Of the 80 students in the course, only 7 are female.
I'd say almost everywhere you go, that's going to be the situation. So if you're a female in the Army, that's something to get used to pretty early on. It's great to have those other females to kind of bond with as well.
All right, is this the proper way to carry a weapon?
The soldiers show up slick, which means their uniforms show only their last name and U.S. Army. There's no indication of rank, affiliation, or previous schools attended.
Do what you're asked to do, be at the right place, at the right time, in the right uniform, with the right equipment, and move with a sense of urgency. That's all we ask. So easy.
Day 1 may have been easy for most, but Day 2 will prematurely end 11 more students' time in jungle school.
All right, jungles, here in about 30 seconds. We're going to start testing, all right?
The knots retest begins before the sun comes up. Number 25 has to pass if he wants to remain in jungle school.
Hey, go ahead and get to ready ropes. The next knot we're going to test on here is the around the body bow line.
This is the knot number 25 failed to tie on Day 1.
Execute, execute, execute. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hands off.
Because he used to be. I'm gonna look for it after this. I don't know how.
This time I passed, so I showed that I can learn. Could not get a wink of sleep last night. Absolutely terrified. But doing things even when you're afraid or even when you're not sure, that's how you move forward.
Only 1 student failed the retest.
JIs are going to come through and they're going to do spot checks on you. 31.
And another withdrew from the course for administrative reasons. 78 are left to take on the second of the 5 critical tests, the Jungle 5K.
All right, Jungle. 3, 2, 1, begin.
Students have 40 minutes to complete a 5-kilometer run on a road with significant elevation changes while wearing a load-carrying vest and carrying their replica rifles known as rubber duckies.
Jungle! Almost done.
There's no retest for the Jungle 5K. This is the students' only chance to pass and stay in the course. Of the 78 students, 6 failed to finish in time, including number 25.
That's good right here.
Bring the rain, hide my tears.
Tell me what happened.
So I was running the 5K, started out pretty strong actually, and then I don't know what it was, could not catch my breath, had to walk. Felt like somebody was just giving me a big old bear hug.
Are you disappointed?
Oh, absolutely. I wanted to keep going, so kind of sucks on day 2 to call the family and say, hey, pick me up, I failed. Take care.
Jungle school is over for number 25, but continues for the remaining 72 students who get a quick meal before their next test.
Straight to dessert?
Straight to dessert, no time, get the sugars in. Killed a lot of glycogen on that run. Don't want to go into shock when you hit the pool.
Are you teaching us jungle nutrition?
I'm teaching you everything nutrition, son.
I am actually most worried about the swim event, but I've also been practicing, and so I am cautiously optimistic.
1, 2, 3, 3.
The students head to the pool at Schofield Barracks for the third critical test.
Welcome to the Combat Water Survival Assessment. We're looking for proficiency inside the water.
The test has 4 stages.
Jungle! Jungle!
The Don and Ditch,
All right, Jungle, exit the pool. Jungle!
a high dive jump, a 2-minute water tread, and a 50-meter swim. While the first 2 stages move quickly, the physical toll taken by the Jungle 5K begins to catch up with the students.
You're good. Just too tired.
Okay.
No, it's not. I just failed. It's okay.
I'm not a really good swimmer, and I feel like I exert way too much energy while treading. I knew I was coming up like on the last seconds, so I just really wanted to, as soon as they say stop, I can just hurry up and grab the wall. It's relieving. Definitely the swim and the 5K. Those were my 2 biggest worries coming into this. And after I completed those, I think we got 2 or 3 more events, qualifying events coming up, which I'm not too worried about.
Who are my weak swimmers?
The swim test is over for some, but because he identified as a weak swimmer, number 56 has to go last.
Jungle!
Jungle!
You see visible signs of struggle. After that one warning, you're a no-go if I have any questions. Enter the water. Away from the wall. Away from the wall. Away from the wall.
All right, come out of the pool, Jungle. Bring it out, Mom. You're not swimming on your chest.
You got it. Stay calm. There you go. There you go. Keep going. All right, pool.
After passing the 2-minute tread, only 1 stage remains.
Come on, stand up, 5'6". You're good. Stand up. You're strong.
Are you able to continue training?
I'm not sure.
Jungle, that's a yes or no question. Are you able to continue training?
Yes.
Okay, Jungle, go ahead and move forward. Hey, Jungle, I'm gonna put you in lane 1 right there. All right? Enter the pool. Jungle, enter the pool.
Just jump in.
My body just couldn't exert anymore, and so I became more exhausted. I think it was because of how quickly everything progressed. My exhaustion just became worse more quickly. I already knew that I was worried, but I was trying to keep calm. And it was just at that last few seconds that I just panicked a little. I'll try not to break down and cry. Frankly, I feel devastated because this was something that I had prepared for, for months. I do not like to quit. I also recognize my limitations. And so harking back to that moment will certainly be a motivation for me to succeed the next time.
5 students are dropped from the course after failing the swim test. The rest return to Camp Lightning to continue training.
So who's done land nav out here on East Range? How was it? Sucked.
The next critical test is land navigation.
All right, so land navigation. Somebody read that for me?
2 biggest threats to us in the jungle. The first was navigation, the second, the enemy.
Jungle. What does that mean to you?
Means it was very easy to get lost, and when you got lost, you also didn't know where the enemy was. And if you were lost, you just walked into those ambushes.
Thank you.
The students have to plot geo-coordinates on a map and plan their routes to get from point to point using only the map, a compass, markers, and a protractor, and no GPS devices. The students train here on East Range, 10 square miles of thick vegetation and treacherous terrain.
So what makes land navigation challenging out here at East Range is the terrain we have. When we are first getting the Army at basic training, they teach us about dead reckoning, shooting your azimuth and walking in a straight line a certain amount of meters, which is almost impossible out here because of our terrain. You go 100 meters on one direction, you're gonna hit a cliff. You go 100 meters in another direction, you're gonna hit a 200-foot decline, and then another 200-foot incline on the other side.
The actual test isn't until day 6, so the students have some time. But what little time they have should be used wisely, because more students will be dropped because of the land nav test than any other test in the course.
What are you going to do if you hear a whistle blast?
Echo it. Echo your whistle.
What are you going to do if you come upon an injured student?
Day 3 begins with a land navigation practice test. Students are paired up and given 2 points to find in 3 hours.
Where's the first point?
First point's right here. Second point's right here.
While they can't use GPS devices, each student gets a device known as a dog collar during land nav, so the instructors can know their location in case of emergency.
Or 7A, 42.
After you plot your points, you want to create a nice route, but when it's like boots on the ground, everything changes.
The students quickly find that out during their first real taste of the J.
Going back up.
Stuff can happen out there in the jungle. It was good to go out and see the terrain and actually see how much it slows you down. It's crazy how long it can take you to move a click out here versus just a click on the mainland.
On the whole way back, I'm like, I want Sergeant Bostic to take me out there and show me how he would have done this, because I suck at land nav, clearly.
The students are learning small unit tactics, like how to move and communicate without being detected in the jungle.
You see how important hand and arm signals are? They are very important because that's how every single one of you in a squad is going to be tracking what's going on.
It's very important to rehearse, right? The moment when you think you know, that's when you're fucked up. Oh shit. That's when you're messed up, alright?
Stay in your lane!
LOA!
Alright,
take a knee, guys.
Hey, watch that barrel back there, jungle.
And then Alpha Team takes contact from the right-hand side of the direction of travel.
With no critical tests until day 6, the students finally have a chance to relax.
One of the routes that are on one of those hills to just snap when you're walking up or down.
Oh, absolutely.
Dude, like
so many people. Lifesavers,
though.
Yeah. There's some gnarly rocks out there for sure.
Oh, where we went today, I almost damn near broke my ankle.
It's good times.
Of the 67 students left in the class, 47 are based in Hawaii. The other 20 are from the 82nd Airborne Division, based in Fort Bragg, North Carolina.
Sometimes I wish I would have went aviation. Seriously. Like, oh, it looks like a really gnarly jungle down there.
Yeah, I know. Fly over there, nice and green down there.
Every time we're in the bird, getting ready for jumping, I just see the Lodi. Smiling, doing his thing, stepping on my knees, like crawl over us. I'm like, damn, I should have picked that job. Like, watch all these dumb airborne dudes jump out of the plane.
The Jungle School hosts a cross-section of soldiers at different stages of their careers, both enlisted and officers, like roster number 1, a first lieutenant.
How long have you been in the Army?
2.25 years now.
Okay, how old are you?
33.
That's it. Wow. So you started kind of late, huh?
Yeah, I did a full change of career. I did the OCS route, so I went to basic OCS. Full change of career for me.
Nice. What would you do before?
I was the director of a hospital clinic.
The highest ranking student in the class is number 5, a lieutenant colonel and senior intelligence officer with nearly 2 decades of time served in the Army.
So I came to Jungle School just to get a little bit of hands-on experience with the environment and the conditions that our soldiers will fight in the Pacific Theater, because I want to have a better appreciation so I can do a better job at doing my job as their senior intelligence officer. And to get to hang out with junior soldiers in the field, cold, wet, hungry, you know, everybody a little equally miserable, is fantastic. A rank does not matter here. The jungle treats everyone the same.
Hey, drop the red ball!
240, I want it right here!
On the right side. Watch the goddamn goat.
Bang, bang, bang. Bang, bang, bang.
Watch out, RTO.
Bang, bang, bang. Bang, bang.
It's hard not to notice the presence of one of the most experienced students in the class, number 23.
Hey, look at my eyes, Jungle. I'll be looking for you out there.
You ever seen Platoon?
Have I seen Platoon? Are you kidding me?
He was Platoon.
I was Platoon. My entire life is Platoon.
Okay, all right. Go ahead, hey, form up. Direction of travel is that way.
A first sergeant with 17 years served, an Army sniper, ranger, and ranger instructor. 37 years old and 3 years away from retirement. Why would he volunteer for jungle school?
I think it's very important for senior leaders to continue to put themselves in these kind of situations. They're showing their men that they can still do it, and you're not just the one, you know, barking orders all the time. You're still able to get out here and get dirty, you know?
Why'd you join the Army?
I joined the Army because I wanted to go to war. Yeah, that's all I wanted to do.
And did you?
10 times.
Where have you been?
I have been to Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan multiple times. I think around 10 deployments.
He wears a silver bracelet in memory of friends killed in action.
Charlie 6, Charlie 7 rodeo, we're in contact. Squad leader, no fire support. 240!
We need some air!
It may seem like these soldiers are playing war with their neighborhood friends in the backyard.
Roger, contact.
But what's happening in the real world in this exact moment is no game. On this same day, the Department of Defense announced it would increase the U.S. military's presence in the Philippines amid rising tension with China.
How do you think that that impacts the sort of significance of what's happening at Jungle School here at Lightning Academy?
Good. I mean, my opinion on, you know, ramping things up and going to war is always going to be good. That's what I want to do. I mean, you know, peace is a good thing, but I joined the military to go to war, so.
American jungle troops. In the Canal Zone, Uncle Sam trains new commando-type troops whose American designation is Bushmasters.
For decades, the Army trained jungle warfare at a school in Panama.
The Jungle Warfare course is structured in a building block approach.
But that school closed in 1999 when the military's focus shifted to the Middle East.
The United States is a Pacific power, and we are here to stay.
Under President Obama, the military's focus shifted back to the Asia-Pacific region. And in 2013, the jungle school reopened in the Rainbow State. Today, the course is open to all military branches and foreign allies. Priority is given to personnel based in the Indo-Pacific Command Area of Responsibility. Some students in this course already have orders to head to the region, like number 67, another former Ranger instructor.
In the coming months after this course, I'll be going to the Philippines for about 2 months. It's awesome that when that announcement came out that I get to be part of the units to go down there, conducting all the training we'll be doing in the Philippines and the joint operations we'll be doing during that 2-month period.
50% of everything in the jungle is trying to kill you.
We have another punji pit, all right?
Not including the enemy.
And then once again.
On day 4, students learn about the different methods the enemy might use to try and kill them in the J, such as deadly booby traps.
And this will knock out 1 to 3 people.
And improvised explosive devices.
We're going to go over a basic level knowledge of how to apply and deploy camouflage. Don't forget your guys' teeth and your tongue.
I better start getting some Chris Hemsworth money for all this camera time, you know what I mean? Whoa. Teaching these generations the lost arts.
So, the jungle specifically, without looking at it right now, I can tell you there's a pattern trace that it has, is everything grows up. So it's in that vertical stance where everything's up and down. So you want to try to avoid making patterns that go horizontal across your body if possible.
The students move in small units, looking for signs that an enemy has been in the area known as spore.
You see this? That's fresh, right?
Yep.
I found them, let's go.
After completing the tracking exercise, the students walk out of the J and head to the landing zone. But getting out of the jungle isn't always so easy, especially if there's a casualty.
All right, has anyone rode a jungle penetrator before? Cool. All right, so we have some guys. This is called the jungle penetrator. It's called such because it folds up nice and tight like this, so when we drop it down to hoist the patient, this will penetrate the jungle canopy. There's these little tabs here. Releases the little sked here that you can sit your butt on. So get in there nice and tight.
Students don't just get to look at the JP, they also get to ride it.
That was super fun. That was, a great morale boost, good experience. I'm a big fan of helicopters. Anytime I get to ride on a helicopter or be near one, I'm excited.
Once they're done, some students seize the opportunity to catch some Z's. They'll need their rest before day 5, when they'll head even deeper into the J.
I think not a lot of rope.
As long as you can fit a carabiner through it, you're all right.
Remember the knots test on day 1?
Take both those loops, put them together.
It seems like such a long time ago.
You're going to tie a double-double, all right, with enough loop on the very end of that double-double that you can fit a carabiner through it.
But the real test is today.
There you go.
When students will use those same knots to safely rappel down treacherous gulches. Because in the J, there are no retests.
Jungle! Watch out, jungle!
But what goes down must come back up.
They didn't teach us in the class, but you can do it. I'll go first. I'll be the guinea pig. If anything bad happens, it's early retirement, so it's a win-win, right?
There's this guy, I think number 23.
Yes, I think I know who you're talking about. He has a great impact on our morale.
See? You guys want to do something simple, and now we got to go off the backside.
He's uniquely qualified in that he's been an instructor at a school like this before. He was an instructor at Ranger School, and he's trying to bring some levity to the group. Everybody's cold, everybody's wet, everybody's a little miserable. And so if you take it too seriously, it's just not going to be any fun. And it's got to be fun.
You know what? You want to be Spotlight Ranger up there. That's okay. I got something for you later. Everyone's pretty nervous, right? And they're dealing with a lot of things, and they're going through all this shit. And my whole thing is like, if you're gonna focus on those things, it's gonna be hard, right? Making people laugh, and when it's downpouring on us and storming like that, I mean, that might be just what they needed, It's also what I need, so there's that. I gotta keep joking to keep myself going as well.
Bye.
The letter's in my...
Stop. You don't break back here?
Nope. Right here.
So we have a lot of senior leaders that come through the course. This is one of very few times in their career that they don't get to be that senior leader. They just get to be a student. So they get to relax a little bit.
You want to be a smartass and talk a big game until you fall on the jig.
Are you okay, Jungle?
Hey, why don't you stay tactical up there?
Because I'm an instructor and I'm trying to make sure that you are okay. I saw you fall.
You would hear me crying, Sergeant.
But sometimes they take it a little too far because they haven't had that much slack before. So sometimes we got to be able to reel it in and just let them know they have to calm down.
While rappelling in a wet jungle requires total concentration, these students better not forget what awaits them tomorrow, their next critical test, land navigation.
1173. 1271.
It's the fourth of 5 critical tests,
1370.
one that will cut 12 more students from the course.
Getting 4 grids, you must come back with 2 to pass.
The students have 5 hours to find a minimum of 2 of the 4 grid points. Anything less than 2, or returning after the time limit, results in a no-go and there is no retest for land nav.
What are you doing there?
Just burning the ends so it doesn't fray off and then just go all over the place pretty much.
Number 14 is paired with number 69, who's back at jungle school after failing the critical rope systems test back in December. But he did pass land nav.
So how did the land nav test go for you back in December when you went through?
Oh, it was easy. I didn't get all the points, but I got 3 out of 4 of them.
So you feeling pretty confident about this?
We could hit 1.
Do like a 1, 3, 2 type of deal?
Or no, we should probably get 1 first, so we can do 1, 3,
and then backtrack. We'll just do 1 first.
We attached a camera to number 69 to see the test from his and number 14's perspective.
Oh, that's too fucking easy.
14. Do you feel like having somebody that's already been through it pretty recently and says it's going to be easy? How does that make you feel about this test?
Like a easy breezy. I mean, I was already feeling confident about it in general, just because I already ran through the course like twice. But since he already knows his way around the land, shit, it helps out a lot.
So I should see you guys back here pretty soon.
Hopefully.
You getting paid? No, I'm not. I'm probably gonna get fired. Promoted.
At 0700, the test begins.
Well, there's another trail that'll cut through.
14 and 69 took a more conservative route.
I'm pretty sure it's like right off that main drag. So we basically just need to break this brush line right here. I think this is the trail I remember.
Back at camp, instructors monitor the students' locations using GPS tracking devices.
So they have a corresponding dog collar matching their roster number. We go to dog list on the tracker. You want 23, click on 23, and it will navigate straight to where he is. He is right here, right in this, wherever that question mark is. That means that's his last known ping.
Instructors patrol the jungle to make sure the students aren't breaking the main rule. They can't walk on the roads. Any student caught breaking this rule is known as roadkill.
0974 roadkill.
2 roadkills, and they fail.
Okay, maybe this isn't the trail I fucking thought it was. Oh.
You know the trail, right? Or a little bit of it?
Which way? You want to go this way or that way?
We're in this area right here. So.
Okay.
I think we're heading in the right direction to keep handrailing this.
Yep.
To the open area.
All right. I don't think this is heading the right way. Hold on. I don't think. Well, I mean, there's a trail down there.
I wonder if you look like a Hopper from Stranger Things.
Oh my god, I get that all the time. Oh fuck, I thought there was a path here. I thought there was a path here. Oh fuck, yeah, this stops here. Alright, we're gonna have to go down. Sweet Jesus. Oh, this is about to suck. Oh, got jabbed in the fucking eye. Oh shit, this would be an easier way to get up. Hell yeah.
We made it, we passed, we got 2 out of 4 points, so very happy with that. It was good. The weather was awful. It was pouring, lightning, thundering. That definitely made it pretty difficult.
Our goal today was at least 2 because we wanted to pass. We found 2 within an hour, so we're like, let's go for another. Found the third one, another like 20, 30 minutes. So we're like, we have like 3 hours left. Might as well go for all 4. And so we felt pretty good going into coming back, and it felt great to just get this last like big test.
So for you guys, you can collect your gear.
But the test wasn't as easy for some, like number 5.
You know, we just had bad luck today. We were able to pick up our first point pretty quickly, and then we got to our second points area, and we, you know, just spent 2.5 hours looking for it, and we just couldn't find it. So we're dropped, and it is what it is. These things happen. I'll pack up and I'll head home, and I'll get to see my wife and kids today, so that's the bonus. Kind of bittersweet, right? You know, a little bit of a bummer, but, you know, life goes on, and I'll be back at work on Monday.
Among the 12 students who failed the land nav test,
All right. Thanks for chatting. Thanks for chatting with me, though.
number 14.
Yeah, give Sam a second to get you focused up, and we'll get going here. Tell me what happened today.
Well, we're going smoothly to our first point. We got our first point. It took us a little more time than we wanted to, but it was like not a problem. And then started downpouring a lot, and just made it hard to find our second point.
At what point did you realize we're not going to find it in time?
We were looking for that point up until 11:40. We're like 2.5 hours. We're probably looking for that point with like no luck.
So how do you feel right now?
Not too bad actually. Like I've only been here. This is my first time coming to this course. First time ever seeing like the jungle out here. So I'm definitely going to be back at a later point. This gives me like a good look on what I should be ready for next time.
Number 23 wouldn't let us interview him on camera until he passed the land nav test.
How did your land nav test go today?
I did good. I'm not gonna lie though, I got beat up. I mean, I'm definitely feeling the effects of the terrain here. It's not easy, definitely not. I got paired with a 20-year-old younger version of myself. We're both strong rangers, and we could have made it a lot easier on ourselves, but we just, you know, hard charge forward right through the terrain. It doesn't matter, keep going.
His partner, number 59, part of the 82nd Airborne from North Carolina. After jungle school, he's heading to Thailand for joint training with the Royal Thai Army. That is, if he makes it out of the J.
Oh yeah, by the way, I had to go cold turkey off of dip in this course, so, you know, it's much harder for me than everybody else here.
Are you really missing it?
The first 2 days I was definitely like, I could really use dip right now, but now I don't even give a shit.
The students practice making ruck rafts, wrapping their rucks with ponchos to create buoyancy. Number 23 got paired with an old friend.
We know each other for a very, very long time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we were ranger instructors together. Had no idea we were both in this course together.
I'm from Fort Bragg, and he's stationed there. It's just totally random.
Wow.
We were on the same ranger instructor walk team. Funny how it all comes together.
All comes together.
I like the thought process, right? But you guys are too far from the dump tank.
No, we like pain.
3, 2, 1.
You said right shoulder. Hold on. How well did you waterproof?
I'm waterproof. Come on. Ready?
3, 2, 1, go.
And she floats.
Stop. Just fucking.
So what are you putting on there?
Just foot powder. I couldn't find my powder.
Just to keep it dry?
Yeah. Once again, you don't use it, you lose it.
Does my shit look okay?
Looks great.
Okay. I can't tell, so.
Here. Looks like you have a black eye.
All right. My mirror is shot by the water.
The jungle took it.
The J.
The J.
In the J, sunshine is a rare commodity.
Oh, Bobby. Did you guys think I'm standing over here because I like the view?
I knew why you were standing over here.
Yeah, no, I'm just trying to get a little vitamin D. Been lacking that a little bit lately.
50% of everything in the jungle is trying to kill you. But it also has lots of things that can keep you alive.
There we go. Just lay it down. Good shit, boys.
Suck it, nature. And then we all get to go spend the night in the jungle together.
Students spend the morning inside Survival Village, where they learn about making fire, purifying water,
We're over here with just some bamboo lashed together.
building shelter,
All right, we have 3 bananas.
and about the types of food that can sustain them in the J.
God damn. Dude, you're supposed to share. You piece of shit.
Let me get some of that.
Here, you cut this one, please.
How was that?
Seriously?
It's really good.
Don't waste it.
Yeah. Oh, I dropped it twice. It's gone.
But in the J, not all food grows on trees.
Y'all come on in, make a horseshoe around these tables.
Wild chickens are abundant on East Range, so students are trained to kill or dispatch them and prepare them for consumption.
This is another event you have to participate in. If you refuse to train, you get dropped, all right?
Roger that. Roger that.
Thank you so much.
Oh, yeah.
Anybody have any hot sauce or salt?
Bon appetit, Fletchmeister.
Yes. Me too.
Some pea bread.
Quite good.
Oh, yeah.
How is it? Can you describe the flavor?
Very bland, but yet rewarding.
Where'd you score the Tabasco sauce? Was that in an MRE?
That was one of the MREs, yeah.
How is it?
It's not bad. Needs a little bit of seasoning, but right now I could eat anything.
I'm glad that the chickens died for our cause.
For the students that remain, it's been 7 straight days in the J, 7 days away from their day jobs, and for many of them, their families.
I'm married. I have 2 kids. My wife is pretty used to me having to go away, but when it's like a training thing that I'm volunteering to do, she probably gets a little upset, but she also knows it's very important, so.
For my wife, it's a huge impact. She's got to, take care of the kids all by herself. During the week, it's not so bad, just a normal routine of getting them ready, bringing them to school and daycare, and the normal stuff at night. But the weekends get real difficult with no one there to help her. Sometimes I come home just completely burnt out, and my wife is also burnt out at the same time. So, she's expecting all the help in the world, and I'm not physically ready to give all the help in the world, so.
For now, they'll have to get by with their jungle family, spending the night in the J, where they'll have to apply everything they've learned in Survival Village.
What is this guy?
Dude, that would be
Skink.
great. This would be great fishing bait.
Yeah, it would be.
How'd you guys sleep?
We were great.
We're just building a big jungle family out here.
Yeah.
I mean, I am.
What did you guys get to eat?
We picked about 12 oranges off a wild orange tree out there. Ate those, took the peels, put them in the canteen cups, made a little tea out of them.
At 7:30, have all your gear and be up on the road.
Roger that.
Radio back now.
We got to get to extraction now.
The last step of their survival practical exercise is building a signal fire with a smoke plume high enough to get the attention of a rescue aircraft.
Yeah, I'm not
The fire's primary engineer, number 59. He's back in the J after going to the emergency room for a laceration on his leg that had to be stitched up. Breaking news from the mainland. President Biden ordered fighter jets to shoot down a Chinese spy balloon that had floated all the way from Alaska to South Carolina. With no internet access or cable TV, the jungle students were hearing about it for the first time.
Well, I just heard about it through you, from him, through you, and just kind of.
We were in my mind. It's the Zeppelin in like 1942. It's the big old Zeppelin.
You haven't seen a picture of it, obviously, right?
No.
No. We live in the J.
What does it look like?
We don't have
not much news out here.
It's like it was just like a big circular, spherical, like white.
It's like a weather balloon almost.
With like a little electronic apparatus.
Like a payload on the bottom with
below
some like optics and sensors and stuff.
And there's video of it getting shot down, like that people just took from Myrtle Beach with their iPhone.
What was it shot down with?
F-22.
Hellfire.
I forget which type of missile, but.
Then I'm sure we went.
Got it!
I'm sure we went from coverage.
So anywhere on this loop, it can be in the middle like mine.
With the tension building between the U.S. and China in real time, the stakes are also high at Camp Lightning, where the students will face the final critical test of jungle school, rope systems.
You're gonna bring it back through the carabiners. How do your carabiners need to be set up?
Opposite
and opposed. So that means the spines are gonna be on. Keep your hands off for me, please, Jungle. Question over here.
So
yes.
I go bottom to top.
Students get one last chance to practice and ask questions about the two systems.
See how it starts on the left side?
The one-rope bridge
My stack of the rope is on my left-hand side,
and the Z-pulley.
so I shouldn't expect anybody to fail this. Jungle! 'Cause I'm a great teacher and I'm.
Hell yeah!
First up, the Z-pulley.
All right, Jungle, let's go. Hurry up.
Next,
The rest of your group's waiting on you.
the one-rope bridge.
All right, Jungle, go at this time. All right, go ahead and break down your station.
Congrats.
Thank you. Glad everything's over.
Yeah, does it feel like kind of a weight's been lifted?
Definitely.
Thank you, Jungle Sergeant.
So how do you feel now that you've passed both of these?
Feel great, honestly. It's not. It ain't no joke going from just being in the field for 2 days and survival night, and I don't care who you are, and then you got to come do something technical like this. It's not easy.
Alright, so you're good to go, 5-9. Just break everything down. Leave your ropes and carabiners outside of the bag right here, okay?
How's your leg doing? I saw you kind of favoring it there.
Yeah, I didn't want to.
Jungle, no talking. All right, face the road.
Oh, wait.
I'm just gonna keep on going. We all got a pain, but this one's mine, so just gonna roll with it.
4 students were dropped for failing the final critical test, bringing the total number of students to 51.
Do you feel like a weight has been lifted?
I do. I definitely feel like a weight has been lifted. But there's more to go. Now comes the fun part.
Fun?
The fun part, yeah.
Enemy forces, the 496th Light Infantry Regiment of the Ethiopian Army has invaded the island of Oahu. Their goal is to harass and destroy friendly U.S. forces in order to force a retrograde from the Lilihua Plateau.
The class is divided into 4 squads, and the squad leaders are briefed on what they can expect during the final challenge of jungle school, the Culex.
The Culex is a 3-day culminating exercise. They get to utilize everything that they have been taught from day 1.
The enemy is also known to utilize ATV, Polaris, 4-wheelers, and Humvees.
They have a mission set that they will progress through each day until they eventually end up at the beginning of the Green Mile on the end of day 3.
Comms. All right, you have to figure it out. It's tough out there in the J, but I know FM works. FM comms work out here, all right?
So we're gonna go down, repel, or no, we're gonna down repel, climb up, repel one more time, and link in with third squad.
The students swap their rubber duckies for the real thing, M4 carbines that fire blank rounds.
Remember what you're fighting for, men. The United States of America is the team I play for. Hell yeah. What team do you play for? America! I want my kids to be so proud of me.
Let's make sure we take it slow, nobody gets hurt. Jungle 1 on 3.
1, 2, 3.
Jungle One.
Helicopter flies the squad to a location on East Range meant to disorient them.
Jungle Man, Jungle One.
When a squad takes enemy contact, there are two options: engage the enemy or break contact by moving to a place where they're no longer in danger. In this case, First Squad chose the latter, which meant heading deeper into the J. When it gets too slippery and steep, their only option is to sit and slide. The squad moves slowly and quietly. After about an hour, they haven't moved very far, only a couple 100 meters.
Jungle Man, Jungle One, radio check over.
Contrary to what was said in the briefing, radios don't always work in the J.
Yeah, we'll try again. We'll get the high ground.
Before long, the squad hits a point of no return. What started out as a shallow stream turned into a waist-deep mud pit.
It was tough going through that mud. Reminded me of high school wrestling.
Yeah, that was a perfect little route until this. So, might as well just try to get up now.
The only way out is up.
We need to go take that trail.
The trail dies though.
Okay, well we need to go west.
After breaking contact again,
But I think we'll initiate with Alpha
it's time to find and engage the enemy.
and then swing right up. Got it?
Jungle Man, this is Jungle One. Did you acknowledge my last? Over. Everybody gotta die sometime, Red.
Number 23 has found them.
Malfunction!
As number 23 approaches the fallen enemy, his first instinct is to take the notebook sticking out of his back pocket. In jungle school, rank doesn't matter, but experience shines through.
Get some EPW and search going.
You found this? Very nice.
I handed it to you, squad leader.
I thought you found it.
That's their entire battle plan.
Nice. That's good shit.
I'm gonna need a raise as a private.
Hey, we need to count.
It doesn't fucking matter. We ain't got time for that shit. Let's go.
crazy.
Boom.
Day 2 of the Cullex. A pattern emerges. Contact. Movement. More contact.
Get up, you.
And more movement.
We're like 200 meters away from the checkpoint 1. Can't we just go this way, right here? You gotta keep eyes on the waterway.
The squad's next objective is to follow a waterway that leads to a tunnel, which is easier said than done.
The squad's struggling this morning. They didn't meet any of the time hacks. They're kind of just lousy and on mission this morning. Their discipline is very low.
What did you just say? Really? Let me see. What did it hit?
After nearly an hour, the squad still hasn't found the tunnel. Their instructor had to point it out to them.
So who saw the tunnel? We were down on the river right after it was pointed out. After it was pointed out, everyone saw it. Who saw it before that? You got to keep your eyes sharp. Your brains need to be turned on all the time.
Push up, Nova, push up.
No, punch on the side!
Along with their M4s. Each squad also carries the M249 squad automatic weapon,
Saw's malfunctioning!
known as the Saw, plus one more for backup.
Hey, let's fire at the tree. Let's fire at the tree. Get that weapon, squad leader. Get that weapon.
The roles of opposing or enemy forces are played by instructors, as well as members of the 82nd Airborne who were dropped earlier in the course.
I am one of the oppositions that they are killing and or capturing.
This was one of the students hit with a roadkill violation during the land nav test.
Now that you're just sticking around there using you in other ways.
Yeah, at my discretion. I'm still checking out the island and whatnot. So, yeah, it's not a bad gig.
What happened to the saw back there?
Malfunctioned. Always fucking happens. It's like 50-50 with it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. When it does, it's nice.
Where are you from?
I'm originally from Russia.
Really?
Number 20's father was a captain in the Russian army. After 9/11, he moved to the United States and joined the U.S. Army as a private. She joined the Army 3 years ago and is now a first lieutenant.
What made you want to go to jungle school?
I've just always wanted to, I wanted to learn knots and, it's like survival skills and how to track, all these things. And the school taught me all that, so I think that's pretty cool. I'm enjoying my experience so far.
Right, you guys were just a mess to begin with. You need to slow down. You need to slow way down. You're going way too fast. You're not doing anything tactical, especially hand-arm signals. You guys are just out here talking, maneuvering around, yelling at each other, all right? I know I have a lot of negative things to say right now, but one thing I will say positively about you guys, all right, is you can freaking move. You guys were moving fast. A little too fast, but you guys are moving fast.
How does it impact team morale when you get sort of a lot of negative?
I do not like to be told good things. I am a complete opposite. I like to be told all negative things.
So you liked that sort of the feedback from Razzo?
I get fired up by getting told you're doing shitty. But I will say that's not I'm clearly different than maybe a lot of other people, how they feel.
See that? Old Bob comes out when I touch the water.
Why do you call him Bob?
You never say his real name when you're in the shit, because then he'll go away. His big orange ball. B.O.B.
Radio check over.
Long way from Manhattan.
What's the CEO's name of Business Insider?
Henry Blodgett.
Harry Blodgett?
Henry Blodgett.
Henry Blodgett? Henry Blodgett, come join us in the J. I'll let you hold my saw.
What is this, like a candy bar?
This is a first strike bar. It gives you the power to fight the J.
At all times.
At all times.
This is the Southwest beef and black beans.
Aside from their chicken dinner during survival training, the only food these students have eaten in 10 days has come from MREs, which stands for Meals Ready to Eat.
Here it is. A little soft taco action. Not bad.
After 2 days of the collects, they'll need their strength for the final day of training. One more day in the J. After 2 days with first squad, we finally linked up with fourth squad, which was being led by the injured number 59.
How's your leg, 59? Oh, wait a second. How's your leg doing?
Bleeding, but it's fine.
Bleeding? How've the last 2 days been?
Very fun. I'm weird like that.
But 59 revealed he's not the only injured student in his squad. He told us that number 73 sustained an ankle injury.
I heard you hurt your ankle.
Yeah, a little bit, but I'm fine.
What happened?
I don't really know, but it's hurting me yesterday. Medics wrapped it up and just trying to not focus on it today.
How's it going, 67? How are you feeling?
Wet, cold. It's alright though.
Hey, stop fucking shooting up here! We're not shooting at you. Yeah, you can't even see what you're shooting at. First man, high ground. Hey, someone grab Brunnermer's rock. He's up here with security with me.
How was the rest of you guys' night?
We walked a long way, and then got rained on all night.
How was that?
Miserable. All of our stuff is completely wet, even before we started this today, so.
How's morale?
Oh, it's super high. Yeah. I think it's just that everyone knows that no matter how bad this day gets, it's gonna end, type thing. I have to go right back in the field Sunday, so I mean, whatever, but. Just keep grinding.
You seen much of Bob?
No. That son of a bitch. He's abandoned me. We used to have a great bond, him and I. Now, he's abandoned all hope in me.
Hey, let some slack on that. No, you have to Z-pulley him.
The squad has to create a Z-pulley rope system, the same one from their last critical test, to evacuate a simulated casualty from the bottom of a gulch. And they have to carry the casualty all the way to the next rally point. And after just a little more contact, they get a chance to refit before the final event of jungle school.
Get it.
The Green Mile.
Anybody care to take a guess as to why we do the Green Mile?
Something to do with a movie.
Nope, nothing to do with no movie.
I feel like it's just a rite of passage thing, you know?
I'm going to that's exactly
right.
right. Every other foreign country out there has a Green Mile, right? And it is a mile as the bird flies. Ours is about 2.5 miles as we walk it, all right? So it's our way to give back to the jungle for, hey, thanks for this great experience and all the knowledge that we've passed on, all right? So that is our thing, all right? Hey, Bostic, whenever you're ready. Incoming!
MRE isn't sitting well.
Throw your weapon, throw your weapon. Throw it.
Man down! Oh shit. Nope. Fuck! Goddamn cameraman!
After the obstacle course, The squad moves through the J at a slightly faster pace. They have to climb a steep grade known as Cherry Guava Hill, using nothing but cherry guava trees to hold on to, until they get to a fixed rope at the top. The squad encounters a litter loaded with gear that they have to carry the rest of the way.
Slow it down if you're gonna fuck it up.
Come on, Jungle, let's go.
Get to the chopper!
Yeah, there it is.
They've arrived at the LZ, which is right next to Camp Lightning, the finish line.
It's the last few moments.
Yeah, kinda don't want it to end, to be honest with you. I got a lot of emails waiting on me.
The class began with 80, but only 51 finished.
Look at this thing.
Before they head home, the students have to clean their gear.
Real good. Sloppy Joe! Extra sloppy!
Once the gear is clean, it's time for a jungle school tradition known as the Dog X. Students pay $10 to enjoy the meal prepared and served by the instructors, which includes 2 hot dogs, chips, a Rice Krispies treat, and a drink.
Coke, Pepsi, Mountain Dew, Dr. Pepper, Sprite.
I want Mountain Dew because I want diabetes.
I want diabetes.
So like the wise, you bring all these things in, so they get us a spot.
The only thing left is to get their jungle tabs. On a windy Friday morning at Schofield Barracks, friends, family, and colleagues gather to see the newest class of jungle qualified soldiers.
On graduation day, you see a group of proud, confident soldiers who have that understanding for operating in a jungle, that they're able to go back to their units and be a force multiplier out there.
How do you feel, number one?
Good. I guess when I did the Dog X yesterday, they told me number 1 usually is bad omen and they usually fail. So being number 1 and passing that, I think that brought some good luck to it.
It feels pretty good for it to be over, have some freedom back again. This weekend I get a 4-day right before we get back to work, get ready to go to the Philippines.
What's on your agenda for the rest of the day?
Well, after this, I probably have to go home, take another shower. The wife's at work, the kids are at school, so I'll have the house to myself for a couple hours, just kind of relax before everything gets back to normal.
What are you wearing?
I know, yeah, lots of leis. It's a great Hawaii tradition. Everyone brings a lei when you graduate something or promote or something like that. So my platoon came out, my platoon sergeant had everyone give me a lei. Super sweet of him.
So what's up next for you?
Gonna go home, probably go to the beach later, hang out with my friends, check in with my platoon, stuff like that. Just see what I missed. Get out of the wind.
So what does it mean now that you got that?
It means that I gotta find something else to go do.
How do you feel about your dad?
I think he's pretty awesome. What do you think? Yeah, I think he's pretty cool.
So what's next for you for the rest of the day?
Well, honestly, I have a meeting at 1400 and then get ready to go back to the field with my men Monday.
Sniper School, the Army turned soldiers into lethal weapons trained to operate in any environment. But there's much more to it than pulling a trigger. These soldiers are training to be U.S. Army snipers. Before this 7-week training course is done, more than half of them will be dropped from training.
I think when you actually get down here on the ground and you're actually performing the role of a sniper, it's a lot different from what a lot of people would instantly think. Most of the time you're laying somewhere you don't want to lay for way longer than you thought you would be, and sometimes it's fruitless and sometimes it's not.
This is the U.S. Army Sniper Course.
Let's go, guy. Keep moving.
Where soldiers from the Army and National Guard learn essential skills in sniper fieldcraft and marksmanship.
Soldiers leaving here are going to leave a more lethal soldier than they were prior to arriving.
There are more than 2,000 snipers currently serving in the U.S. Army. Their primary mission? Placing long-range precision fire on key targets. But being a sniper goes beyond pulling a trigger.
Let's go!
Insider spent 2 days at the U.S. Army Sniper Course at Fort Benning, observing different classes at various stages of training, including marksmanship, range estimation, target detection, and stalks. To be accepted into the Sniper Course, prospective students must meet a range of prerequisites, which include passing a psychological evaluation and physical fitness test, achieving expert qualification with the M4 carbine, and receiving a recommendation letter from their battalion commander.
Attributes to make a good sniper to attend the United States Army Sniper Course would be a disciplined soldier, the ability to think on their feet, but the ability to grow through updated doctrine.
Although both male and females are eligible for entry, only one female student has attended the course, graduating in 2021. Training is split into 2 categories: fieldcraft and marksmanship.
All right, 5 minutes of dry fire begins now.
During marksmanship training, students get familiarized with 3 different rifles: the M2010 Enhanced Sniper Rifle, the M110 SAS, and the M107.
Shooting has always been the fun thing to do. You know, it's what everyone wants to go do. They want to go shoot.
Working in pairs, students learn to hit targets from 600 to 1,100 meters away, alternating between the shooter and spotter positions.
All right, so you're gonna dial 5.4.
Before participating in graded events, the soldiers spend time on the range gathering and confirming dope, or data on previous engagements, which includes temperature, altitude, humidity, and even the weight and velocity of their ammunition.
Give me a 7.8 elevation.
This data informs the shooters of how to adjust their rifles in order to hit their targets in any situation.
Order the target, stand by for wind.
Students also have to account for wind and how to properly read it on the path to their target.
Left point 2. All right, go to the target. So basically they're just looking for the wind, what the elements are doing around them, and then giving wind calls based off that.
Left point 3.
Students use a unit of measurement called milliradians, or mils, represented by the hash marks inside the shooter's scope, to determine the wind's effect on their shot.
Left point 7.
Left point 7. Left point 7.
So they're just telling the whole 0.5 left or 0.2 left, and it's actually going inside their reticle.
Those were all bad wind calls on my part. You are
Yeah, very
fine.
bad. Like opposite direction on what you need to be calling the wind bad.
They have several opportunities to practice reading wind and gather dope with the M2010 ahead of their first graded record fire, which takes place during week 3.
I think this is the part of sniper school that everyone really likes that come here, because they get to shoot, and you don't get to do this a lot in a normal Army world.
Point 8. I personally love it. That's why I came to sniper school. I love shooting. It's the most time that I've ever gotten on the gun, so it's definitely good practice.
Target's up. Chase. Walk.
Wind becomes an even bigger factor during movers training, where students practice firing at moving targets.
When you go down range, your targetry, i.e. the enemy, doesn't typically want to stay in one spot when you start shooting at them. So this helps them get into the right mindset and get them the tools and techniques so that they can engage those targets effectively.
Working in pairs, students fire at moving targets ranging from 200 to 600 meters away and have 2 minutes to move between firing positions.
One mil. I got one. Yeah, that's what I got too.
Shooters measure the target's speed in mils and must factor in their movement when determining where to aim their shot.
Lead's gonna be 0.8. Wind's moving from right to left.
So they're calling out those numeric values in mils based on what they should be holding left, right of the target as it moves across the range.
What'd you hold? 1.2.
All this really entails is you getting an accurate hold in front of the target so that as it moves towards the center of your reticle, you will then fire preemptively so that the bullet will meet with the target as it moves across the range.
It's going to be a 0.7. Going right to left, go 1 mil.
It can be very confusing determining what side of the target you should be holding on. Should I be adding mils to the target as I'm going with the wind? Should I be taking mils away as I'm going against the wind?
0.855 times 1 equals right to left. 0.8 hold. Your shooter and the spotter both need to be talking. They both need to be talking about where the wind's coming from and trying to come up with those numbers in their heads, so that makes it a little bit easier to do that fast math in your head.
What are you going to go, 0.6 here now?
Yeah, left 0.5, left 0.6.
As we start to go deeper and deeper into the training, they get better at it, and we almost have a 100% pass rate with movers.
So when you have a magazine in, you're going to want to settle it a little low.
Although roughly 50% of the sniper course involves firing weapons, marksmanship isn't the sole focus of training.
A sniper's secondary mission is to collect and report battlefield information, but 9 times out of 10, that's the mission you're going to end up doing.
In order to collect battlefield information undetected, students must master a wide array of fieldcraft skills, starting with how to properly construct a ghillie suit. Ghillie suits are a type of camouflage clothing that snipers use to blend in with their environment.
We use natural vegetation as well. We tie that into our suit and it helps us to blend in with whatever environment we could potentially be working in.
Students bring their own ghillie suits to the sniper course, which are usually constructed using an old uniform.
There's seriously no rules to it. Anything you want, the sky's the limit, and it's honestly up to the user.
To help achieve that blending effect, netting and artificial camouflage, like jute, a fibrous plant-based material, are used to break up the wearer's silhouette.
You might want to try to extend this some here to break up this straight line.
Their ghillie suits are inspected at least 3 times while at the course.
We do a 360 inspection, ensuring that there are points that generally get blown out, such as the crotch of the pants, armpits, elbows, stuff like that. Those high wear and tear areas are reinforced, they're sewn down, they're glued. The ghillie suit's constructed with a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. It's not fun. You're just sewing through all your areas that could potentially rip, taking a lot of time with really, really thick needles and yarn and a lot of glue.
So I have probably 8 to 10 hours worth into my ghillie suit now, including all of the sewing and everything, and I'd say that it's probably around a 7 out of 10, but there's always more you can do to it.
If constructed properly, a ghillie suit can last a sniper their entire career, so durability is key.
Hurry up! He's moving!
And it'll get put to the test during an event known as the Ghillie Wash.
Hurry up! Get on your back!
The Ghillie Wash serves 2 purposes: to season and add color to the students' ghillie suits, and to test the suit's durability under pressure.
They know it's coming. Everybody who comes to the school talks about it, and they all know kind of what to expect.
Students start off by crawling and rolling across various terrains, including pavement, gravel, and sand, before getting sprayed by a fire hose, which adds weight to their ghillie suits.
We incorporate exercises to make sure that they don't have any kind of tearing in seams and stuff like that.
Down! 1 kill!
It's very, very important that you continue to push, and it's very, very important that you're able to get to and from wherever you're going with the small amount of people that you have.
Students then crawl on their stomachs and backs through muddy trenches to add color to their suits.
We're trying to get that color deeply rooted into the fabric.
Crawling through the trench and under the sticks over there, I would say that would be the top smoker. It was like crawling on your back on a treadmill. You weren't going anywhere. It kind of sucked.
It's tough. I had mud in my eyes the whole time, so I just couldn't see anything. I was pretty much running blind, crawling blind across the roads and stuff.
Being physically fit and being able to endure any kind of physical activities is definitely very, very important, because as a sniper, you're going to be moving further with more weight than the average soldier.
For the final leg of the ghillie wash, they crawl through a 200-foot-long trench filled with water ranging in depth from a couple inches to a couple feet. With their ghillie suits now weighed down with water, students must make their way over walls and obstacles of varying heights, all while maintaining a low profile.
We have them low crawling over any kind of like obstacles and stuff like that to see if the area that they drag themselves on will possibly peel up, and again, any kind of stitching is going to rip.
Honestly, it felt really good, the cold water, because of how hot it was outside, but crawling over all of the rocks and the sand was definitely uncomfortable.
It is a very physical event, but it's completely necessary. Like, we have to test out these ghillie suits to make sure they're going to withstand the test of time. Generally across the board, you can usually see all smiles. Everybody's pretty happy. Everybody has their own little story of what happened to them.
It's good. I'm very filthy right now. I have a lot of dirt in a lot of places.
With their ghillie suits seasoned, students are ready to continue with the rest of their fieldcraft training.
Eyes up.
During range estimation exercises, students must determine the distance to a given target using nothing but their eyes and rifle scope. Before the exercise begins, they take measurements of their target, which in this case was an instructor and a vehicle.
They get all the measurements from waist to top of the head, waist to shoulder, shoulder to shoulder, or from toes to top of the head, as well as multiple measurements on the vehicle itself so that they can measure out with their optic the size of the target at distance.
Eyes up.
During the exercise, students use only their eyes to estimate how far the target is at 10 different distances, varying from 300 to 1,000 meters.
They teach us brackets. If it's in the 1 to 200 meter bracket, it's in the 2 to 300 meter bracket, and then we choose like if it's closer to 300 or to 200.
It's still a challenge to do by eye, but using the reticle, as long as you have proper measurements, it's all just math.
When using their scopes, students are taught to use the mill relation formula, which takes the height of the target in inches, multiplied by a constant, and then divided by the target's height in mils. The resulting number is the distance to the target in meters. To be successful, their estimates must be within 5% of the actual distance, and they must accurately record at least 14 out of the 20 ranges to pass their graded exercise. Of the class we observed, 2 students failed. They have one more opportunity to pass, or they'll be dropped from the sniper course.
It's an extremely important skill to be able to range estimate accurately as a sniper, because we may not be in an environment that is permissive enough to allow us to use technology to estimate our range to our target. So snipers need to know how to be able to measure and do the mill relation formula in order to determine their range to target.
All right, turn around. Get in the prone. Eyes down.
During target detection training, students scan a field in front of them for 10 military-related items that have been strategically hidden by instructors, some as small as a couple of inches.
Target detection is a sniper's ability to detect anomalies in their environment. We run them through a series of exercises here at the schoolhouse that reinforces their searching patterns, searching techniques, and their ability to actually pick up on anomalies.
Using their eyes, scopes, and binoculars, the class is given 40 minutes to search for the objects in a 10,000 square meter field, and must accurately locate and record at least 7 to be successful.
Honestly, it's only difficult if you're looking for items. If you don't look for something specific and you just scan the area, they'll pop out at you because the human eye hates patterns. So when you see a disruption in a pattern, it pops out at you.
Students are taught several scanning techniques and look out for various target indicators such as shine, shape, texture, and contrast to the background environment.
The human eye naturally scans left to right, top to bottom, and one thing that they hit on that was really big was scanning bottom to top, right to left. It kind of forces your mind to not go its natural path. You pick up things a lot easier.
Looking around this area right here and realizing the way the bark naturally looks, they see this natural difference right here where the pattern's messed up and there's no longer any bark. And focusing a little bit more on it, you're able to find the texture of the plastic, color doesn't add up, it's not that gray or that black anymore, you got a little bit of a green. Might catch some kind of sheen coming off of it.
Of the class we observed, one student failed and was dropped from the sniper course. Fieldcraft skills such as target detection are vital to their future careers as snipers.
If you see anything of note, you log it down in one form or another. As a sniper, you're always doing that throughout an entire mission. So ultimately, that is the most important job of a sniper, and it's the one that's ultimately most valuable to the commander because now he's getting a better picture of the objective or the battlefield.
Fieldcraft training culminates with stalk events, where pairs of students must navigate through wooded terrain to observe their assigned target without being spotted by the instructors walking around them, or by those observing from afar with binoculars. Students perform 4 practical stalk training exercises before moving on to graded events. The class we observed was participating in their first practical exercise. They're given 10 minutes to prepare themselves and their equipment. The class covers themselves in natural vegetation that matches their surroundings, utilizing hair ties and 550 cord that they've glued to their ghillie suits.
In order to truly blend in with your environment, to get rid of the human signatures of the sides of the head, shoulders, the areas that are distinguishable, you have to tie in vegetation to your foreground, background, everything around you.
We just put like a real thick base layer on and took off towards the objective.
Once the event begins, students have 2 hours to reach an area from which they can observe their target, which in this case was a truck, and they must utilize the movement techniques they've been taught to stay out of sight.
Freeze, you two!
What do you think you look like right now walking through the woods?
Stupid dude with
a dude in a ghillie suit.
So if a team is trying to rush up to the objective, like not moving tactically or in the movement techniques that they have been previously taught, we'll stop them, we'll take their roster numbers down, and they'll get docked 10 points. And they'll also get moved back 100 meters or a terrain feature away, whichever one is further, and have them restart after explaining what they did wrong.
They can also get spotted by the observers watching from the back of the truck with 10-power binoculars, who then direct instructors walking in the woods to the student's location.
Yeah, Roger, it's probably this guy right here that I got my flag on. He was facing away from the truck, so it's probably his back that you saw. All right, so you guys tracking, right? Yo, so thick is good, right? Getting in that thick spot is good, but you're playing a dangerous game, right? Because you're mixing the potential of overhead movement. And look how close you guys are to the objective. You are way too close to be causing this much movement.
It was kind of a shock to everyone how easily they could spot us.
Once the students reach a spot in which they're able to view the truck, they set up their final firing position, camouflaging themselves and their equipment to match their new surroundings. They must then observe and correctly record a scenario that takes place, which in this case included 2 instructors setting up and firing a mortar round.
They're annotating and formulating what they observed into what we call a salute report, as well as generating a call for fire request.
The students then have to accurately identify 2 letters held up by the observers on the back of the truck.
Letter is up. Letter is up on time. Shooter, you got an ID?
Julia.
Time. What was it?
Julia.
Good ID. Good ID.
But in order to pass the exercise, the students must evade detection by the observers scanning for them, which can be easier said than done.
So I've got apex of the triangle on top of the spotter's head. You guys are standing in the open with the sun on your back, right? That naturally is going to cast shadow or catch glint off your optic. You were able to observe the scenario and you both PID'd the letter. That's good. That's really good. And that's what we want. But none of that matters if you guys are able to be seen.
By the end of the practical exercise we observed, none of the participating students received a passing grade,
I think a lot of them went in with maybe a little bit too much confidence, and they thought, well, it looks pretty thick, so I'm sure they won't see me. The problem is the instructors that work here currently, they have a lot of experience, both real world and here at the schoolhouse.
It's a challenge. It was pretty frustrating, but at the end of the day, I think that I'm more motivated now than before because I know that I need to improve on things. So I definitely have things I need to focus on to get better, but I'm excited to do the next rep.
This class will have 3 more practical stalk exercises before starting their graded events, of which they'll have 3 opportunities to pass. But according to the Army, the majority of students from this class did not pass their graded stalk events and were dropped from the course.
Sergeant Terry.
On average, just 47% of the 288 students who are accepted to the sniper course each year end up graduating. Those who are able to successfully complete the course will go on to teach the skills they've learned to the junior soldiers in their unit and could be deployed into combat as snipers immediately if necessary.
It's extremely rewarding to watch a soldier that has a small understanding of the weapon platform or the techniques to employ as a sniper. And once they graduate the course, their ability to perform as a sniper is outstanding.
When soldiers need to join the fight fast, they do it using helicopters, which is what they master here.
Air assault!
This is Army Air Assault School, where students train to insert themselves and equipment into combat using helicopters.
As we start looking towards the future fight, large nation states like in North Korea, where you need to be able to go behind enemy lines, deliver formations of air assault soldiers who could seize objectives, destroy enemy formations. That's the concept.
Air assault! Air assault!
All air assault qualified soldiers have to graduate from a program known as the Army's 10 Toughest Days.
Who's gonna get it? Who's gonna get it?
Air assault!
It's physically demanding, and also it's very mentally demanding. A lot of attention to detail. Some of the hardest things they've done in their lives in these 10 short days.
I definitely think it lives up to the 10 toughest days. There's definitely nights where I was very nervous, and good reason to be nervous.
Insider spent 4 days inside Air Assault School,
Air assault! 3, 2! Air assault!
where we observe students at various stages of training.
Air assault!
The first phase is an academic phase, where the students learn the basics of aircraft capabilities and air assault planning. The second phase, the sling load phase, which is how you move equipment around the battlefield under a helicopter. And the final phase is the repelling phase.
Training happens here at the Sabalowski Air Assault School, inside the Fort Campbell Army installation that straddles the Tennessee-Kentucky border. It's home to the 101st Airborne Division, nicknamed the Screaming Eagles.
110, Burke, first name Aaron.
But before day 1 of Air Assault School begins, all students have to survive what's known as Day 0.
Roster 3, Staff Sergeant Rivas.
The test is designed to weed out students who aren't ready for the challenges ahead.
1-4.
It begins before sunrise, when students form up to receive their roster numbers.
2-2-2, Holly.
The first test is an early morning inspection of their gear.
Earplugs, highlighter, lacking pen, 1 gallon size Ziploc style bag.
Students are given a list of items they're expected to have in their rucksacks.
Good.
If one single item is missing during the inspection, they're automatically dropped. 17 students in this group were dropped because they were missing items in their packing list.
A lot of the things that get people dropped is not paying attention to detail, and that's pretty much what Air Assault School is about. Because it comes to the littlest thing can get someone hurt or injured, and we just want to make sure that they take it seriously.
After the inspection, a 2-mile run with an 18-minute time limit, followed by a quick smoke session, which gets the students warmed up before the main event, the obstacle course.
That's the first moment where we filter out who is prepared to be here and who wants to be here.
The course contains 9 different obstacles to test students' strength, agility, and confidence. 7 of them are considered minor, and students are allowed to fail 1 without being dropped.
All right, this is a major.
The last 2 are major obstacles, and students must pass both, otherwise they have failed day 0.
Air assault!
First, the aptly named Tough One.
Go ahead on the right.
A multi-part obstacle that starts with a 3-meter rope climb.
There you go.
And then tests balance, along with upper and lower body strength at a height of over 30 feet.
If you're afraid of heights, it can be very frightening, and if you don't know how to climb a rope, you're just going to be out of luck.
All right, Air Assault, what's your roster number? All right, take this over to the white truck right there.
You're kind of gassed once you get to that point, so it's all technique.
The second major obstacle is the 35-foot-tall confidence climb.
I have a fear of heights, so the confidence climb was definitely one that was mentally challenging for me.
Air assault!
Kept on pushing. You gotta push through.
For students who successfully conquer the obstacle course, day 0 is complete. Of the 292 students who started day 0, 42 failed to complete it. By this time, these students have worked up an appetite, and they'll need their strength before the Army's 10 toughest days officially begin.
Air assault!
Air Assault!
Air assault! Air assault! Air assault! Air assault! Air assault!
Why does everybody say air assault so much?
So that goes back to the culture. We're building the culture both in the division and throughout the air assault community.
Air assault! Roger that!
Anytime they're being addressed by an instructor, they'll usually say air assault instead of Roger or yes.
Great job, dude. Air assault.
We will refer to students as air assault.
Let's go, air assault! Air assault!
And really just when you're having a good time and you're motivated, you pass another soldier, you might say air assault to that soldier.
Air assault, air assault, air assault.
Do you ever find yourself just saying air assault when you're off?
All the time. Yeah, my wife's probably sick of it.
Every year, about 5,000 students graduate from air assault school. About 18% are female, and the students come from a wide range of backgrounds.
We absolutely have a large scope of soldiers that come here, not only Army, we have Air Force, Marines, Navy that come to the schoolhouse.
Students range from privates who just completed basic training to experienced officers who want to learn new skills.
So I'm 40 years old. I wanted to come out to the air assault course to see if I can do it, number one, and then to improve my skill set as a helicopter pilot.
I'm a veterinarian, and so this isn't something we get to do every day. I signed up for air assault school to get a little bit of a challenge, to kind of diversify myself as far as what I do in the Army.
There's only one way up that bird. Lay it down, all right?
On day 1, students begin the first phase of training, known as combat assault, much of which happens in the classroom.
And your air assault handbook, starting on page 80. Get there.
Phase 1 is giving them a foundation in basic air assault operations.
You will have the basic knowledge on how to select, mark, and control a helicopter landing zone.
So it's a fair amount of memorization, a little bit of math, and then just understanding the process that goes into air assault planning.
Move aircraft right! Move aircraft right! Execute!
Phase 1 moves outside the classroom when students practice hand and arm signals used to guide helicopters in a landing zone.
Black shirt says, release sling load, execute.
The instructors use a game called Black Shirt Says,
Black shirt says.
similar to Simon Says, to test the students on their knowledge of the signals and their attention to detail during the commands.
Recover. If you moved, you're out. I did not say black shirt says recover.
The hand and arm signal's purpose is simply to guide the aircraft to place that aircraft over the load so that that hooker team can then hook up, move out of the way, and then the aircraft can then pick up and take the sling load set wherever it needs to go.
You might want to get down here in a minute first.
Phase 2 of training is focused on sling load operations, where students learn how to prepare a heavy payload and hook it to a helicopter, which descends to as low as 8 feet off the ground during the operation.
That's kind of our, if we want to call it our bread and butter here at 101st, where we can go deep behind enemy lines and resupply soldiers, whether that be beans and bullets or, aircraft or artillery pieces. We take pride in that.
Students learn the rigorous process of preparing and inspecting 6 different loads.
Here in phase 2, they'll learn how to rig whatever equipment that they're going to send, inspect that, and they'll sign off on an inspection form, which the pilots need for their sling load operation.
Now you're going to check your hood latch.
Sling load operations was challenging. That's definitely the most mentally demanding hands-on part of the course.
So when you lift this up, you lift it up as such.
We learn it rapidly and we're tested on it rapidly, but luckily the instructors here give us so much time to practice.
So we have 1 deficiency already, right?
We have a wide range, up to about 24 deficiencies that we could use on a given load.
The arrow go towards the aircraft. So would this be a deficiency?
Deficiency. We'll show them clean loads so they understand how the whole process looks. Then we give them dirty loads. Dirty loads have all the deficiencies.
Then you ensure that your chains aren't twisted, all right, and they're wrapped one time and one time only. So what do we have right here? Deficiency, okay, because it's wrapped more than once.
So then they can work through and say, oh, okay, I see how this is different, or this looks weird, this is the wrong type of whatever. That way they have full confidence come test day that they'll pass the hands-on portion.
Everybody good?
Airsoft.
Any questions?
All right, good luck. Don't suck. Begin.
Students have to pass a 50-question written test with a minimum score of 70%.
You have 2 minutes to identify 3 out of 4 deficiencies on the Humvee. Remember, you only have 5 responses.
They inspect the rigging of 6 different payloads and have to identify 3 different deficiencies on each.
Deficiency, first responder.
The students are timed during each inspection.
Stop!
If they fail to identify the deficiencies, they're classified as a no-go.
Now you're no-go on the Humvee.
And are given a second chance to get it right. If they fail twice, students have to start their training all over and repeat day 0.
There are a lot of students that get dropped because there are so many finite details. But when they fail, they'll get a retest and a retrain so that they have a second chance in order to get through it again.
Students who pass the inspection then perform a sling load operation with a live aircraft. This group's objective: to attach the A-22 cargo bag to a hook on the bottom of a CH-47 helicopter.
That was super fun because we've learned all about all the equipment that we can sling load from these aircraft. That was rewarding to be able to actually hook up a load and watch them take off.
While part of Phase 2 is spent under a helicopter, in Phase 3, students spend time on one, but not for long. The last phase is focused on repelling. Students first master their safety equipment.
They all are taught how to tie a hip rappel seat or a Swiss rappel seat. They're tested on it and they have to do it in 90 seconds.
Within Phase 3 are 3 separate stages: rappelling from a 14-foot ramp, a 34-foot tower, and finally 60 feet down from a live aircraft.
Phone. We go to the ramp.
Good luck, unlock, and lower yourself.
They do a falling procedure just to get them comfortable with going down. It's really more of making them know that their equipment will hold them.
After that, students move to the 34-foot tower, where they practice rappelling on the open and wall sides.
Next follow, step forward, kneel down, hook up. Get ready. You gotta step down to the top of the letters. Do you understand?
Yes.
Go.
You do the wall, where you're just learning the basics because there's still a surface there that you're bouncing off of.
There you go. Keep going.
It's very scary. You look out and you see how far down you actually are. I feel like the tower is actually more frightening than the helicopter.
Go.
It's trust in your equipment, trust in your rappel master. It's kind of out of our hands at that point, and so that can be a little bit frightening.
And then you do the open side rappel because that'll simulate what it's like out of an aircraft, where you're just using your brake hand and nothing else to control your descent to the ground.
The ideal behind it is once you're at 34 foot, you can't really tell how high you are. So then when they get 60 foot in an aircraft, they can't really tell much of a difference.
Then it's time for the final part of Phase 3, rappelling out of a live aircraft. A steady rain didn't hinder students from boarding the CH-47. Once airborne, it hovers in place at an altitude of 60 feet.
In the CH-47, we can fit 30 students in at a time. They're all hooked to a monkey tail or a daisy chain, if you will. It hooks them into the aircraft, so if the aircraft were to go down, we have a secondary safety device inside the aircraft that they're hooked to, so nobody falls out of the bird. The rappel master that's hooking them up will call them forward, make sure that that student is hooked up correctly. Once that rappel master makes eye contact with that student, then they stand up and he'll push them to the edge of the aircraft and then he'll send him.
Two soldiers on the ground, known as belay personnel, control the ropes from the bottom.
Just in case somebody becomes a fallen rappeller or can't control their descent, they would be able to pull the ropes, stop them, and they'd be able to control their descent for them all the way down to the ground safely.
Their job is even more difficult due to sustained gusts coming from the rotor wash.
It's a lot of work for the belay men. They get a good workout over the 3 hours they're under the aircraft.
I was actually the first one in my group to jump. And as I was getting closer to the edge, I will admit it did feel a little surreal and I did get a little nervous, but just being confident, knowing that you are going to land on the ground within the next 20 seconds. It was really fun, super exciting.
Turn your red lens on.
Before dawn on graduation day, students face the culminating event of air assault school, a 12-mile ruck march that each student must complete in less than 3 hours while wearing about 40 pounds of combat gear.
3, 2, 1.
The 12-mile ruck is more of a mental game, I would say. Just being able to push yourself through all 12 miles.
Let's go, air assault!
It's hard, but it's nice to have your other teammates around you kind of encouraging you as you're doing it.
Hey, great job, guys. 6-0, air assault!
Great job. Sometimes that's all it takes. One guy or gal to really put themselves out there and let them know that you care. Great work, man. Good job. You genuinely do care and that you're proud of them, right? And that really sparks that motivation to get that soldier to go that last mile, that last 6 feet in some cases.
Motivated? Another 10 more, let's go! Another 10? We can make that happen. No, not play. Okay. Everybody wants to be a gangster, so it's time to do gangster shit, right? Yeah. All right, undo your ruck and dump it out.
After the ruck march, students have to pass one final inspection of their rucksacks.
ACH your chin strap, jacket, extreme sweat weather, and patrol cap.
Just one more opportunity to get dropped before graduation.
Earplugs, highlighter.
Upon inspection, this student told an instructor he didn't have his earplugs.
I'm gonna walk back here, I'm gonna go back around, and then you need to look in your gear and you need to find them by the time I get back. Yeah, it's okay. Otherwise, you're gonna be a drop.
Once the instructor returned, the student had managed to find them.
Got your earplugs in your gear? Air assault on.
No students were dropped during the final inspection.
All right, congratulations. You're air assault qualified.
Of the 231 students that started with this class on day 0, 191 finished the course. Friends and family gather to see the newest class of air assault qualified soldiers graduate on the final day of training.
You now have the crucial skills to maximize the effective use of helicopter assets in both training and combat missions. Wear your air assault wings with pride. Your peers, without them, will be envious of your accomplishments.
It's almost a transformation of sorts, right? You have a soldier that's timid at times and not sure if they really want to be here. You fast forward 10 days and you have a soldier that's chest is a little bit further out, stand a little bit taller, and they're absolutely proud to earn that air assault badge.
First to fight for the right and to build the nation's might, and the army was rolling along. Proud of all we have done, fighting till the battle's won, and the army goes rolling along.
Meanwhile, a new class of students is just beginning day one of air assault training to find out if they have what it takes to survive the Army's 10 toughest days.
The army goes rolling along.
Parade, rest.
Air assault!